Hello, how are you today?
Yeah.
We have to stay in Manchester for the one extra night, you know? Look at the light! Don't mess with me.
I won't mess with you.
All right, pal, otherwise I'll take you back through history and beat you to death with my intellect.
That would take a long time. First you'd have to find it. This is talkSPORT. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to a very healthy-looking Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. Sorry, what do you mean I look healthy?
Well, you look very
I always
well.
look healthy.
You've got a sort of glow about you. You know,
glow?
sometimes you look a little bit more pasty-faced than you do tonight.
What?
And
You
tonight you
mad?
look very well. I mean, considering all that bleating you did yesterday about, you know, you wanted to state aid for your, what would you call it?
Why not?
Sunshine Symposium or something like that.
I have actually, funny enough, had a course to talk to a medical specialist in skin matters over the last week or so.
Do you mean a doctor?
Sort of thing, yeah. and
what does he say?
Very complimentary about my my visage. And
Really?
I was talking to him actually about the difficulties of being born with ginger hair, having skin that is covered in freckles.
Right. Well, you're not the only one, are you?
And well, we're
What about Kevin De Bruyne?
No, we're a very tiny minority, honestly. And coping with the sort of heat that we've had over the last 2 days. He actually told me that I'm a bit of a hero, the way I managed to get through life in those sort of conditions.
Well, he probably said also there's probably nothing wrong with you either, right?
Well, I wasn't looking to see if there's anything wrong with me. I was seeking succour and comfort in making life more appealing.
Is that right?
I mean, you've got to remember, I can't breathe sometimes because the sunlight on my skin...
talking non-stop,
The sunlight on my skin has a
Synthesis.
Photosynthesis on my skin, sunlight and photosynthesis on my skin renders me almost rigid, you know what I mean.
Does it?
Yeah,
like sort of rigor mortis
Yeah,
style.
it is a bit like that.
Did you have to stay in all day today then, or did you go out
No,
again?
I did. I stayed in most of the day. It slows me down to a point where my thinking is impaired.
I actually found it hotter today than it was yesterday.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It wasn't good.
Anyway, look.
But I've had a terrible time trying to get in here tonight,
Yeah, we'll
because I
talk
went
about that in a minute.
downstairs. What do you mean we'll talk about it in a minute?
Because we want to talk about Leicester Bester.
Yeah, okay. Leicester, the team that I have always backed, right?
Leicester Bester. How about that? How about that for a slogan?
Leicester Bester.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
No, I do.
Doesn't
Leicester
make any
Bester.
sense, no.
Do you know what? When we saw them tonight, you thought, these are the champions of England. They've gone into this European competition with a clear plan as to how to get through. And a fantastic victory. I mean, a 3-0 victory in their first ever.
Well, it seemed like they breezed through it, didn't they?
They breezed through it. You're absolutely right. And individual skills, the free kick goal. My God, it was stunning, stunningly good.
Yes.
And I was so impressed with them. And do you know what it made me think about?
What did it make you think about?
It made me think about the way Nottingham Forest won their first ever domestic title under Brian Clough.
Right.
And then within 12 months, they were champions of Europe.
This is typical of you. You're getting very carried away.
I'm getting carried away,
FC Bruges. I mean, they haven't played anybody brilliant yet. And FC Bruges are the champions of Belgium, so they're no pushovers. But they're not exactly, Manchester City.
No.
They're not exactly Real Madrid, who came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1.
Yeah, but let me tell you, in the days when Nottingham Forest, you might say, the giants of Europe weren't as powerful as they are now. They were. And the giants of Europe in those days were Ajax, and they were still Bayern Munich, and they were still...
Juventus.
Juventus, absolutely. I was going to say AC Milan, I think. And they were still giant clubs, and Forest took them all because they had a sense of purpose, and that's what I see in Leicester. Honestly, I was so proud of them. As an Englishman, Leicester Bester is going to be my slogan for...
So you're not tipping them to win the Champions League, are you?
Well, funnily enough, I did put out tonight and say, has anybody got an odds out there for them? Because I think it's something you've got to keep an eye on. I really do. I mean, in the sense that the sense of the unexpected hit us all, smacked us all in the face last season when Leicester won the Premier League title.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to be prepared this season. I'm going to be prepared for ultimately another, the ultimate result, which would be another Leicester success.
Well, I've got something to show you, right? Because 5 months ago, a guy called Andrew Loudon tweeted me, right? And I responded in kind. He said to me,
yes.
I know you're not doing this, but you are the voice of reason on talkSPORT. They are doing something.
Who is?
Me. Me personally.
Hang on, excuse me.
Yeah.
I've been that for many years.
No, you've been the Secret Truth and Justice.
Yes, that's right.
I am, of course, the voice of reason. And Andrew said this, you're the voice of reason on talkSPORT. Leicester are doing something amazing this year.
Yes.
Isn't it right that we should all just enjoy it? And this was because people were talking about how useless they'd be in the Champions League. And here's what I said on the 5th of April.
Yes.
I guess there are always doubters. Personally, I'm enjoying it and looking forward to Leicester City in the Champions League.
Yes, well...
That's what I said in April.
Yeah, well, OK,
I don't think you can find that your support for Leicester goes back as far as that.
Well,
because
hang on.
in April you were still saying that they wouldn't win the league.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
No, I was not. I said that Leicester would win the league after they won away at Manchester City. 3-1, 4-1 was it? I think it was 4-1. And I said then they will win it because they've become unbeatable.
There's no doubt about which one of us was more correct.
Hang on. All you said was, I am really going to enjoy watching Leicester in the Champions League. You didn't say, I think Leicester have got a very good chance of conquering this competition. You didn't make that prediction. You didn't stick your neck out because you never do.
Which competition are you talking about? The Champions League or the Premier League?
The Champions League.
Yeah, I know. Of course I didn't say they were going to win the Champions League.
No,
you have gone completely gaga now because they've won one game, right? And you've become delirious with the heat that you think they're going to win the Champions League.
No, I didn't say that.
You just said they're going to win the Champions League, just like Nottingham Forest did.
I said I wonder if they can.
No, you just said they would.
No, I didn't say they could. I said I wonder if they can replicate what Nottingham Forest did.
In the same way that you put out this ridiculous tweet about how you said that the Wembley curse was going to hit Tottenham.
I did,
despite the fact that you predicted they would win 3-1.
Well, it was a cross-purpose indicative steer to what could have happened tonight.
Cross-purpose indicative steer.
What I was saying was, had it been a White Hart Lane, I think Spurs would have won 3-1. Going to Wembley and the enormity of the crowd, 85,000, biggest ever crowd ever to watch a domestic club in this country. Okay, biggest
ever, which is
ever.
Extraordinary in itself.
Absolutely. I mean, they've beaten all those records over the years. Over the years, you know, when I was a kid, used to read all your stats books every year, the Roy of the Rovers annual and all that kind of stuff. You know, and I found that one time Everton had 79,000 people in the ground in a match against Liverpool in about 1932 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you'd find, oh crikey, look at this here. Sunderland had 68,000 in this day. And then you read about, you know, Celtic and Rangers often played in front of 120,000 people in Scotland.
Yeah.
So you look at these stats, but then to find that Spurs have had the biggest ever crowd for a game involving a domestic team as opposed to England, the international team, is terrific. But it did them no good.
No.
Because they clearly didn't respond or adapt to the
Well, they seem to be
different
sort of in a state
circumstances.
of panic, didn't they? I mean, Jason Cundy said to us earlier, they looked like rabbits caught in the headlights. In fact, he was right. He was right about that because they kind of played as if they were complete opposite to Leicester, who played with just their usual kind of elan and just got on with business, right? And just did what they always do. Tottenham seemed to just kind of be a completely different team from the team at the weekend. They looked fantastic.
Leicester Bester just simply took charge of the game. What's wrong?
Well, you're not going to keep saying that now,
Why not?
are you?
Why not?
Because I don't like it.
It's a tag that I put on.
I don't like it.
People will remember that.
It means nothing.
Leicester Bester.
It means nothing.
It does.
You might as well say Leicester Bicester, which is another town.
No. Leicester Bester, which means that Leicester were the best of what happened tonight.
They weren't actually. Manchester City were far better, I have to say.
Do you know, Manchester City were so appealing tonight.
Yeah.
They even woke up my old pal Liam Gallagher.
Did they?
Who started getting busy on the old Twitter.
I mean, you didn't get involved with him again, did you?
No, of course I didn't. No,
Thank
because
I
didn't mean to get involved with him the first time. He misunderstood exactly what I was saying.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, LG, as we'll call him, Liam Gallagher, he has his own language. He has his own completely.
Well, he's a very bad language when he's referring to you.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true, actually. Yeah,
right. Just a crap Kenny Rogers, I think, was one of the ones that I can repeat.
That was one of the mildest, wasn't it? The rest of it was rather offensive, but I didn't take offence. Don't worry. But what I'm saying is, he talks in this. He's invented this weird language with weird words, but they're all tumbling down on Twitter tonight. So he's obviously very pleased.
Yes.
I'm pleased for him because. You see, well, he and his brother must have supported Manchester City when they were literally trash. When they were garbage, when they were in the third tier of English football. And who got them out of that? Everton hero Joe Royle, of course.
All right. Well, that's enough about Everton.
Got them up two
You've
leagues in
already
two
made 3 references
seasons.
to Everton, and they haven't even been playing. So I'm not interested in any of that.
Though.
How about this from Mickey, who has tweeted at the two mics?
Yes.
MG was banging on about Leicester in August 2015.
Yeah.
As usual, Porky has attempted to change history. #plank.
What?
And Roy says, Porky's lost his mind. When Forest won the European Cup, they had to win 9 games.
Yes.
It was amazing, but it doesn't compare to now.
No, but they still beat everything that was put in front of them and became champions
but
of
it was
Europe.
a much shorter competition, wasn't it?
Oh, what a ridiculous comparison.
Well, it was.
But every team plays a longer tournament
It's
these
a bit
days.
like when people
it's
say...
not like the teams they're playing. It's not like Bruges are only going to play 9 games, for goodness sake.
But, there's a lot of teams who would not be in the Champions League if it was still the European Cup. For example, Manchester City. Leicester was the only team that were in it.
Well, funny enough, you should say that because, of course, you're absolutely right. Nottingham Forest, as champions, were the only team, and it represented.
Yeah, because it was
represented from England.
It was the league, the people that had won the league.
Yeah, That's interesting, that, isn't it? Because, of course, Liverpool won four. They've won 5 altogether, but in their heyday, they won like 4 sort of almost in 10 years or something, didn't they? And
because they won the league and then went straight into the European Cup.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because so many teams who finished less than top, if you see what I mean, in their domestic league, have gone on to win the Champions League.
Yeah, indeed.
By the way,
absolutely right.
Old Ronaldo was brilliant again tonight, wasn't he? I mean, he missed a sitter. Well, people say he missed a sitter, but in fact, he swiped at it and it hit the post and came out. But it was quite a difficult chance. It came to him very, very rapidly. But then the free kick.
Well, that's why Real Madrid are Real Madrid, isn't it? 1-0 down until, 5 minutes from the end or something?
1-0 down, 2-1 up, now we're going to win the cup. That's what the Madrid fans were singing.
Dear God.
Yeah, in Spanish, of course.
Have you been on the funny sauce again this evening before you came in?
No,
anyway, I'm going to tell you about my torturous journey here because I had a bit of a problem with the old car. This is talkSPORT. We are the 2 mics.
The 2 mics. Simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
This is talkSPORT. We are the 2 mics. James has tweeted at the 2 mics. He says humans don't photosynthesise. That'll be plants. Or possibly planks.
No, but it can work on the human skin. I got this from an expert, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, something I didn't realise before. But,
an expert in photosynthesis. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to.
No, he's a dermatologist. Top dermatologist at a top hospital.
Well, he would be. What hospital's
that? St Anthony's in Stockbroker Belt.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's run by like a Christian foundation.
Oh yeah.
There's a picture. No, there's a statue of a saint outside the front door.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a worrying place to go to hospital because you know what happens. It means that if you you have one of those do not resuscitate scenarios going on.
Oh yeah.
They might have a different view.
Oh, right.
If they're religious based.
Oh, I see, yeah.
They might not let you die, is what I'm
I've
saying.
been in there before. When I was 36 hours from death with my acute heart failure problem,
right,
I was also in there, and it brought back a few memories, about...
Did it? Flashbacks?
Flashbacks, yeah.
Right.
The fatal day.
We're going to be talking to a guy later on, right?
Right.
Whose name is Rob Simone.
Rob Simone.
Who's a paranormal expert, because there's a report going around, right? Bizarrely by a sort of financial institution.
Yes.
Suggesting that we're not actually really living in... What you would otherwise regard as the real world.
So
we're living in a Matrix type situation.
So everything that happens, we're imagining in our mind, aren't we?
Well, it's a simulation.
Yeah,
it's like effectively living in a video game.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll borrow your lighter,
yeah.
which you use to smoke your 40 cigarettes a day. Okay,
I don't smoke 40 cigarettes a day.
And what I'll do is I'll get you to hold out your hand, and then I'll burn the skin on your elbow with your lighter, and then you tell me.
Violence with you, isn't it?
Tell me whether you're imagining it or whether we're living in a Matrix world, or whether you actually feel the gruesome pain of burning flesh around your elbow, okay?
Well,
Should we do that as an exercise?
We could try that.
I mean, if you're going to bring
just
this...
put my foot on your throat and see how long it takes before you pass out.
Oh, I see. So you're now reacting with violence. I'm not...
Well, you just said you could set my elbow on fire.
Yeah, but that's not violence. What I'm doing is I am dissing your pathetic, rubbishy survey you're going to tell me about. I mean, we'll go through it. We'll have a look at it so I can rubbish it.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, I've heard this so many times before. It's about the old tree going down in the forest and no noise being there if there's no human and all that.
It's nothing to do with that.
It is. It's all like that.
Absolutely nothing to do with that.
What is the story about you getting to work tonight?
Hang on. David says this. Please stop the plank saying Leicester Bester. It's the worst slogan ever.
No.
How did he ever get a job in Fleet Street?
No. Leicester Bester is brilliant.
It's horrendous.
No, it's not. It's brilliant. And that'll be the slogan for Leicester throughout this season on this show.
Okay.
Leicester Bester.
Right. Well, I was going out this evening at around about 11:30, which would normally get me here about sort of 11:45, 10 to 12. So I don't live very far away.
Yes.
And I had to recycle a couple of bottles on the way because I've got a recycling bin.
Oh,
so I put those in.
Oh, I see. Dedicated recycler, are we?
Yeah. Well,
you've gone over to the other side.
I had a few empties knocking around in the kitchen. I thought I should get rid of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the amount of empties that come out of your place, mate, keep a recycling plant going 365 days a year.
So I did that, and I chucked I always keep the cardboard thing that I get from Ricardo because I can use it again.
The cardboard thing you have from where?
It's like a bottle carrier. It's like a bottle carrier.
A bottle carrier, yeah. But you've got half a dozen of those a day, yeah, go on.
Well, I've got a few of them, but the thing is, when you don't have them, it's a bad thing. Anyway, so I went and put it in the back of the car, walked around the front of the car. Just as I was about to get in the car, I noticed that the front right tyre was just slightly soft-looking.
The offside tyre?
The offside front right.
Offside front, yeah.
And I thought, oh, God. And I sort of gave it a bit of a kick and squeezed it. And it wasn't completely flat.
No.
But I didn't really want to drive it just in case.
Think you got a nail in it or something?
It might have a slow puncture or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
But I suddenly thought to myself, because they've also been resurfacing my road.
Okay.
Right, so the road has been completely closed off all day.
Bad news. What did you have to do?
So I thought, well, I'll try and ring for a cab. I rang a cab company that I know. And one of the reasons I got the car in the first place is the cabs around there are so unreliable.
Right.
And black cabs don't really go up and down the road very much.
Right.
So they said, it could be about half an hour, mate.
Half an hour.
And this was now 20 to 12. And I thought, I'll just get a bus or something.
Yeah.
So I went down to get the bus.
Yes.
I stood at the bus stop, and there's an app that you can tell when the next bus is coming.
Really?
And it said, next
Don't
bus...
they have a little sign inside the bus shelter saying 2 minutes,
Not
4
in all,
minutes?
in some of them, yeah, but not in all of them.
Okay.
Not in this one. But it said on the app, there's a bus coming in 4 minutes.
Right, great.
So I thought, fantastic.
Yes.
I'll jump on that, straight to the tube. I'll be there in 15 minutes.
Yes.
But, of course, it got to 1 minute to go, and then it suddenly changed. I went back to check it. It said 15 minutes.
Oh, dear.
And then I went, well, this is
been
no
cancelled or something.
Yeah, so I better go to... And I thought, well, maybe the buses aren't coming down this road because it's been closed.
Okay.
So I then had to walk about half a mile to the next kind of road where there's more buses.
Yeah.
To be told that the next bus going that way was about 11 minutes.
11?
And
They're very efficient, the buses in your part of the world, aren't they?
Well, this is one of the reasons at night. During the day, they're perfect.
Right.
Any time after 10 o'clock at night, you never know what's going on.
Okay.
So that's why I got the car. One of the reasons I got the car. And so suddenly, just by chance, I saw a bus which wasn't meant to be coming this way.
Right.
Coming this way.
Right.
It was meant to be coming down my street.
And you wave it down?
So I waved it down, got on it.
Were you at a bus stop? Or do they stop
was,
intermittently?
Yeah, I was just about at a bus stop.
Right, okay, yeah.
But by this time I was quite hot.
Yeah,
it was,
okay.
it was
But you
quite
got
hot
on the
out there.
bus.
So I got on the bus. But it was full of sort of drunks, and it kept stopping, and it was going,
disgusting.
to a tube station. And I had to check when the last tube was.
Right.
Because the last tube was going at about 10 past 12.
It would be, yeah.
And I thought, well, if I don't make it, I made it by literally 1 minute for the last train.
Last train.
Got in here at 12:15.
Where did I take you? Southwark?
To Southwark, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
And
Yeah,
then
what are you here
and
now?
then rushed up here. So,
Don't worry too
and
much
then I
about
got here having sent you a note to say I'm
Yes.
going to be running slightly late.
Yeah.
I got a puncture. To be greeted by you going, oh, hello. Didn't even know you haven't even read the message.
No, I hadn't read the message. I'm sorry, I was too busy
You're
doing
just so
other things.
self-absorbed.
No, not self-absorbed, mate. Just put the show together in your absence as usual.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
right.
But anyway, I'm glad you got here in the end.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk to Spencer Pryor coming up in a little while.
Who's
of course,
he?
he played for... Who's he? He played for Leicester City.
Of course he did.
And for Manchester City.
Yes, he
so
did.
So he can talk at length about both performances.
Yeah, sure, but he's not exactly Gary Lineker or sort of Colin Bell, is he?
Would you like Gary Lineker?
No, of course not. No, Spencer's a great guy. I love him.
He's in Australia.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
Which is one of the reasons we're talking to him.
Exactly,
Because at this time of the morning...
he's up at this time of the day.
Gary Lineker's probably in bed.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Now then, I tell you what's going to be great tonight.
What?
So if you're listening now, folks, you must hang around. Porky Vision is going to be sensational.
Is it?
Oh, I'm telling you.
What are you going to be talking about?
Well, I'm not going to tell you, but I've seen some programmes which will blow your socks off, believe me. Blow your socks off. And, you know, you're probably predictably thinking about, you know, the high-profile programmes. I've seen programmes which... astonishing. But that's for later on in the show.
All right. How about this one from Adrian, who says, Nottingham Forest were the only English club in the European Cup, says Porky. The first team they knocked out was Liverpool, apparently.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
They went up to Anfield.
Well, so I guess they weren't.
Well, no, sorry.
Well, they weren't the only English team, then, were they?
Sorry, it was... but Liverpool were the previous winners.
Well, that would be why.
Liverpool the previous year's winners, and, sorry, when I say they knocked them out at Anfield, they were all the ties were two legs, of course, home and away.
Yeah.
And I think they won at Anfield. If they didn't, they went through at Anfield on a draw or something like that. But I know that it was a huge shock, and I remember a lot of my mates who in those days were Liverpool fans, still are, but they're not my mates anymore, if you see what I mean. They're still Liverpool fans, but they're not.
But why are they no longer your mates?
Because
you just lose touch with people.
Because
you haven't got any long-term friends, that's the thing.
Well,
Ian says this, I think he's an Everton fan. Last time Liverpool won the Champions League, they finished 5th in the Premier League, and we finished 4th.
Yes, that's
Champions of Europe weren't even champions of Merseyside.
No, that's absolutely right, because that was the year that Davy Moyes got us up to 4th, and then, you know, we got booted out the competition.
So why did it drop down to 5th for Champions League then?
What happened was because
one of them must have been
there was a winner involved, an English winner the year before, which must have been
Man United then, wasn't it?
In 2000. Well, no, hang on. What year was the famous Istanbul? Was that 2000?
That was 2005, wasn't it?
2005 or 6?
2005, I'm pretty sure.
2005, yeah, okay.
Because I remember watching it in a bar in Glasgow.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's 2005 then, probably. And I think the previous year, I'm not sure who would have won it the previous year. Anyway, look, we'll get all those facts and figures at our fingertips, okay?
All right, fine.
Now, what was I going to say to you then?
I don't know.
I was going to say to you then, yes, what we also have to think about tonight, what we also have to think about tonight is the fact that on this day,
you're going to tell me about Nelson, aren't you?
Yes, Horatio Lord Nelson.
Yeah, well, this is old news.
No.
It's old news.
No, because...
From 1805 until now.
Yes, we haven't commemorated it.
I saw it out on Twitter because somebody said, should we not do a Nelson quiz? And I said, well, we've already done a Nelson quiz. And you got 3 out of 10.
But he left the country for the last time and came back...
What do you mean he left the country for the last time?
Well, because he went out...
Well, if he came back, that wasn't the last time, was it?
He came back dead. I was about to say to you, he came back in a barrel... Yeah, yes, no, a barrel, a huge barrel. He came back in a huge barrel of sort of apple juice.
Apple juice?
Yeah, because...
Are you sure?
I'm certain. It was the...
Did they have apple juice in Nelson's time?
Yeah, it was the Battle of Trafalgar.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely true. It was the Battle of Trafalgar, and he was killed when he refused to come down off the foredeck, and a French sniper shot him with a musket barrel, a musket ball, which ricocheted around the inside of his body and came out of his neck, but tore his lungs apart, and he died.
Too much information, that.
Well, I'm afraid that's what happened. Now, in those days, I mean, he was the greatest ever naval hero. It took 2 weeks to get back after the battle, and they put Admiral...
They won, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, of course we won. We beat the French and the Spanish navies in one go.
Right.
And, but there was the mopping up process after the battle, you know what I mean? They had to repair the ships to get them back and all that kind of stuff. And the men had to be had their legs sawn off and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Legs sawn off?
Yeah, had a lot of legs sawn off.
What, you mean people who had been injured?
Yes, that's right. They sawed the legs off during the course of the battle. The surgeon was the busiest man in the battle. Sorry, what's your problem?
This guy's standing there sawing people's legs off.
No, there is. Quite
Would that be a bit deleterious to the fight?
No. When
get off me. No, I'm trying to just saw your leg off. Well, I'm trying to fire a gun at somebody.
That was the only way to save them, otherwise they would have bled to death. They sawed their legs off and then they
Did they put pitch on it or something?
Well, they had to hop off the table then and put what was left of their leg into a barrel of boiling tar.
This is a comedy battle you're talking about.
No, it's anything but funny. But no, quite seriously, men were brought down all the time to the surgeon's table, and he had a collection of huge saws.
Right.
You know, like you see two guys sawing a tree, one at each end.
Yeah.
Well, the apprentices used to have to do that with a saw to take the guy's legs off.
Well, I remember there's a scene in Gone with the Wind
yes.
where the guy is being laid, sort of held down on the table and having to cut his leg off.
Yeah, right.
For the same kind of reason.
Same sort of reason.
And also because he's going, don't cut!
Yeah, don't cut.
Don't cut!
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he? Oof.
Because they didn't even have anaesthetic, did they?
No, they had no anaesthetic. No, what they did is they put a bit of wood between his teeth so he didn't literally chew his own tongue off through agony and pain of having your leg sawn off, and then they sawed his leg off. But they were bringing them down all the time, because you've got to remember, if you're on
the time, by the way.
Don't worry about the time. If you're on a warship in the middle of the Battle of Trafalgar... one cannonball from the Spanish or the French could smash a mast, which would literally send out 10,000 splinters of wood. So it's been like...
and also might fall on you as well.
Might fall on you, but it's like being hit by a nail bomb.
Yeah.
Now, that would take everything away, you know. But what I was going to say was, they brought Nelson back in a barrel of... filled up with Calvados... brandy.
Okay, well, that's not really apple juice, then, is it?
Well, but Calvados is made from the apple rather than the plum.
Brandy,
yeah, that's right, absolutely.
Apple brandy.
And that was to preserve his body, okay? But what I'm saying is, when he left...
Normal brandy's not made from plums, by the way.
No, it's made from grapes.
Yes,
yeah, that's right, yeah. But there is some plum brandy, isn't there?
There
is.
Slivovitz.
What?
Slivovitz,
right, yeah. But what I'm saying is, when he left Portsmouth on this day in 1805... I mean,
So this is the anniversary of him leaving?
He's leaving, yeah. But
not coming back in a barrel of Calvados?
No. That was 3 weeks later. What I'm saying is that in those days, people like Lord Nelson were pop stars. So when he came out of his hotel, and I've seen the hotel down in Old Portsmouth, all the people in Portsmouth were in the streets because they knew that we're at war with France and Spain, and they're all jumping down, chanting, Nelson, 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 like a football crowd.
Why?
Well, because he was the greatest British hero and he was going off to smash the French and the Spanish.
But he was dead, wasn't he?
No, this was him leaving for the battle.
Oh,
Can you keep up, please?
Sorry.
Can you keep up? Leaving. They weren't chanting Nelson, Nelson
when his
body came back in a barrel full of brandy.
It says here he was put in a barrel and covered in rum.
Yeah, well, that's what I've just told you.
Somebody else says he was covered in brandy. Nobody seems to know what he was covered in.
No, it wasn't rum. It was Calvados brandy. Because where the fight took place, just off the coast of Spain, that's where Calvados comes from, anyway. So they went ashore and got
Sucking the monkey. Have you heard of that?
Sucking the monkey? No, what's that?
In the Royal Navy, sucking the monkey, bleeding the monkey, or tapping the admiral was the practice of sucking liquor from a cask through a straw.
Yeah, so what?
Well, I wonder if they were doing that to him while he was in this cask, where they were drinking the brandy.
Of course they weren't, you idiot.
Why
His
not?
body was immersed in it, and...
Well, why wouldn't they drink it?
Because would you drink fluid that was keeping...
I probably would if there was anything else
Yeah,
around.
you probably would. I can
you.
vouch for that. That was keeping a human body preserved.
Do you mind if we stop talking for a minute?
Well, I mean...
Look at the time. We've run over already. We've only been going half an hour.
Disgraceful.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We're talking to Spencer Pryor coming up in a little while about Leicester and Manchester City, and more about Lord Nelson as well.
I believe.
talkSPORT. We are the two mics. We've got lots more coming up, of course, including Porky Vision. The Porky quiz is tomorrow, and that's on the Clintons, isn't it?
It's on the Clintons.
Yes.
It certainly is, because it's been pretty active this week, hasn't it?
It certainly has. And, she's back on the campaign trail as of today, I think, Thursday, telling everybody that she's absolutely fine and nobody should worry about her anymore.
Yes, that's right.
But we shall see how that all turns out.
The Americans do tend to be over sort of sensitive about health issues, don't they? In every aspect of their life.
They're all about
health insurance.
Well, they're all about prevention, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Because they believe that you can prevent yourself becoming ill,
indeed,
by taking all sorts of measures,
indeed,
at various points, which can or cannot be true sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's a huge industry, of course, in America, and one that's crippled people through the ages. In fact, it crippled Hillary Clinton's first ever political ambitions, because when Bill Clinton first became president, because she's such a strong personality, she demanded that she was given something to do.
Yes.
And he
gave her the health business to reform,
exactly what I'm saying. He said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you introduce a national health bill? She said, yeah, I will. And she's worked on it for about 18 months, and then it got thrown out by Congress because it was unworkable.
It didn't go very well.
No.
Now, I saw a very interesting tweet today from a guy called Andrew, who I believe is a photographer, and he says he saw this on TV the other day. Guess who started China's first Chardonnay vineyard before promptly going bust?
I saw that. Isn't it incredible?
A man by the name of Mr. Michael Parry.
That's right. There's a monument to him, isn't there? Isn't
well,
right?
I don't know if it's a monument. It's a headstone.
Well, it looks like a monument to me.
Well, it looks like a headstone to me. Mr. Michael Parry, born on January 20th, 1948 in England, died on August 25th, 1991.
Yeah, I know,
not that long ago, in Hong Kong.
I know, isn't that amazing?
How come you didn't know about this?
Well, I didn't, because...
I can't believe you and the name Parry and Chardonnay has not come up in some kind of Google search that you might have done.
Well, Michael Parry in particular, spelt exactly the same as my name. That's amazing. And where is it again? In Singapore?
Well, he said he saw it on TV, and I don't know where that particular stone is, but he started the Chardonnay business in China.
In China, OK.
But he died in Hong Kong, so it might be in Hong Kong.
Died in Hong Kong, yeah. I was going to say, probably not Singapore, because I've been to Singapore, and I'm sure somebody would have pointed out that the guy was there.
Do you think?
Yeah. Now, listen, as I was entering talkSPORT Towers tonight...
Yes.
And of course you weren't here because you were messing around
because
with
I was delayed slightly.
Shocking.
I thought I did very well, actually. I still got here in about 35 minutes.
Shocking old
by
wreck
public
of
transport.
Wreck of a car let you down.
It's nothing to do with the wreck of the car. I mean, you've had more punctures than I've had.
But that's in a quality car, you see, because the tyres are so sensitive. But anyway, the point I was going to say is, as I was approaching talkSPORT Tower entrance, a black cab came down the road. And it had a light on, so it could have been... It was for hire, obviously. And anyway, it stopped. And sometimes, do you ever mistakenly attract the attention of a cab driver with his light on when you don't mean to?
I don't think I've ever done that.
No, I do. I don't know why.
Well, because you're always waving at the trees, maybe.
Well, no, not waving at the trees, but, it's that look, you know what I mean? So if you look at them, they look at you, and they sort of stop and that kind of stuff.
Well, they don't normally stop unless you put your hand up.
Well, sometimes it's the look, isn't it? And, it's, how footballers talk about how they beat the goalkeeper by giving him the eyes.
Giving him the eyes, yeah.
I think that there's a giving them the eyes code.
I think Aguero did that with the penalty, actually.
I think he did, actually. I think you're
right,
the wrong
way, didn't he?
Anyway, to cut a long story short, he stopped, and I looked around and thought maybe somebody's coming out of talkSPORT Towers.
Yeah.
And this taxi's been ordered, although I thought he wouldn't have his lights on if it had. But anyway, the window goes down. A very friendly chap says, "Hello, Porky, how are you?" I said, "Fine, thanks." He said, "I'll be listening tonight." Very nice chap.
Oh,
and
good.
He was
What's
just...
his name?
Well, this is what I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
And he was obviously a listener of ours, and he, he wanted just to show his appreciation. So he'd driven all the way over town to speak to me.
Well, I don't think that's true.
Wasn't interested in
Maybe
speaking to
he
you.
just happened to be going past the because it's quite a good cut through. This.
No, I think it's far more likely that he decided I must go and pay homage to Porky tonight.
You think he was just driving past? Because normally speaking, if he was using information provided by you, he would have been here an hour earlier.
No.
Because you always tell us that you get here like 2 hours before the show starts.
What
time was it that he saw you?
Oh, this would have been 11:30.
11:30?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm certain.
Because we could always get him on the show and ask him.
No. Anyway, look, the point of the story
is...
yes. I think it may be this chap called Norfie.
Norfie.
Because his Twitter handle is Norfie Cab.
Yeah.
C-A-B at the end. That gives a hint.
Okay.
And it says, I can confirm that old Porky is early to talkSPORT Towers, as I've just seen him outside. And this is the crucial question, of course, which all people ask. Just wonder if old MG is there yet. And, of course, the answer to that was, no, he wasn't. Norfie, thank you very much indeed, both for...
Did you retweet his tweet?
I'm about to now.
You didn't, did you?
I'm about to. For coming over and saying hello, and more to the point, for actually letting everybody know exactly what the position is about...
What are you talking about?
About who gets here first to set up this show each night.
You got here first
me.
tonight, which is the very, very unusual state of affairs.
I don't think so.
Because all of last week and so far this week, I was here before you.
No, I'm sorry, I don't accept that.
Well, I don't know whether you accept it or not.
I don't accept
but
that.
why don't you retweet Northie's tweet, right?
I am doing
And then
so.
I can find out what time he sent it out.
Yes, sure.
Because then you can tell me whether or not you actually got here at 11:30, or I'll give you an opportunity to tell the truth.
No. I don't have any reason to prevaricate.
I can confirm. I've just seen him outside, right?
Yeah.
His message was sent at 7 minutes past midnight.
Ah, yeah, but that was the first opportunity he had to stop his cab and actually address his phone. You've got to remember that cab drivers, of all people, are the most responsible of drivers, and so he couldn't possibly have gone to his information device.
He had already stopped to say hello to you,
Couldn't possibly have gone to his information device.
He had already stopped to say hello to you.
Didn't switch his engine off, he was just in passing. And
but he could send, while he's stationary, he could have sent the tweet.
No, he sat and idled for a few seconds while his
Very
engine...
much like yourself.
No, his engine was idling for a few seconds while he was talking to me, and then he moved on. So,
why is it so important to you to make out that you get here before I do?
No, it's not. It's just, just want to get the facts straight, that's all.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Andy says this, Calvados is regional to Normandy, Brittany and the Pays de la Loire in France.
There you go.
And I don't know why he's saying ruddy Spain. I don't think you said...
French and...
you didn't say Calvados was Spanish, did you?
Hang on, France and Spain have a border, don't they?
What?
France and Spain have a border.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very close.
The Pyrenees.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you mean very close?
Well,
what does that mean? All borders are close.
Yeah, well, they are, I suppose, yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying is that, the region in which it's made is very... It could
Calvados is not made anywhere near Spain.
No, I know that. Well,
what are you talking about?
Listen, this chap called David, he said...
have you ever had Spanish brandy?
Hang on, this is so interesting, Mike. I've got to tell you this.
Right.
You've just told me about that monument to Michael Parry.
Yes. Well, it's a gravestone. I don't know if it's a monument. Well, you've made it into a monument.
No, this chap David has actually sent a picture of the Michael Parry, the Chinese wine pioneer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look.
Chinese wine pioneer.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Isn't that brilliant? I'm going to retweet
well,
this
why don't
out.
you find out whether he's related to you?
Well, he couldn't have been.
Why not?
Well, I'd have known about him, wouldn't I? From somewhere, I suppose.
Well, I would have thought that you would be one of those people that researched your family tree to find out whether there's anybody famous that you could kind of cling on to in your desperate bid for sort of stardom.
No, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, listen, we've got so many important issues to talk about tonight, okay? And one of them which I want to talk to you about is the situation regarding this. I love this, honestly.
There's hardly any time left again now.
But, well, you know who Roy Hudd is, don't you?
Roy Hudd?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's still alive, you know that?
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Emu.
No, that's not Roy Hudd.
That's Roy Hull, isn't it?
That's Roy Hull, that's right, yeah.
Is he the one that died falling off a roof?
No.
Which was the one that fell off a roof?
You're absolutely right. Some ventriloquist.
Rod Hull?
Rod Hull, yeah.
With Emu?
Yeah, was it him? Because he went up to alter the...
He was watching a Man United game.
Yeah, he was. He went up to alter the the aerial on his house.
That's right. And he fell off. It's not very funny. I don't know why you're laughing.
It's not funny. I shouldn't be.
It's a shocking thing to be laughing at.
But anyway...
the reason I said Rod Hull was because after that picture of you and the lovely Sarah was put out on Twitter, somebody sent out a similar picture that looked like you with your arm around her, because he had his arm around the Emu in a sort of similar position.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a bag anyway, so don't worry about that. No,
that's
listen.
not very nice thing to say.
No. Her clutch, they call it, don't they?
What?
No, they do. Ladies call their bag a clutch.
What were you doing near a clutch?
No.
For God's sake, man.
No, they do.
It's a family show, this.
They do. I know this. Ladies who have a bag that doesn't have any handles call it a clutch. It's my clutch.
Okay.
They do.
I don't
they
doubt
do.
You. Yeah.
I don't mean the sort of thing you get in a car, that you put your foot on. I mean... Don't carry that around with them.
No, of course not.
No, it's they do call it a clutch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
if you're an automatic car, of course, you don't need a clutch, do you?
No, you don't. That's absolutely true. Listen, I better tell you about Roy Hudd in a minute.
Yeah, tell us about Roy Hudd in a bit.
Yeah.
Is he the one that's got the passive smoking problem?
No, he's dead.
That was Roy Castle.
That was Roy Castle.
Yeah, okay.
And what he did is he started... No, he's quite interesting.
I don't know why you're laughing.
No, he started...
Roy Wood.
He started a charity for himself before he died.
Right. Well, his wife didn't she, as well?
No, he did as well, because I remember he said that, there'll be enough money in this charity to buy the biggest tombstone in history. I remember him saying that, and he died. And he claims, and I don't know. I hope he wasn't making a political point, as he was dying, so to speak. But he claimed that he had lung cancer from
passive smoking.
50 years, 50 years of playing the trumpet in working men's clubs.
In working men's clubs, yeah.
And he was sucking in the smoky atmosphere of these working men clubs, and that's what gave him sort of passive lung cancer.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say to that is, in my experience, even though I'm not, a talented and proficient musician, I do happen to believe that when you play the trumpet, you're supposed to blow into it, not suck out of it.
Yes, but I suppose you might be breathing slightly differently as well. We haven't got time to discuss this anyway, because look at the state of the
You blow a trumpet, you don't suck it.
Yeah, I know, but you have to breathe in a particular way, don't you? You have to breathe air into your lungs in order to blow out through the trumpet.
I've seen Kenny Ball and the Jazzmen. They blow into trumpets.
Jazzmen?
Yeah. That was Kenny Ball, wasn't it?
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
Amati gets to him, but it's quickly played forward. Escudero with the shot, and it's wide. And that's a real let-off for Leicester City. Hernandez with a long throw into the penalty area, and Albrighton is there to score, and Leicester City are up and running in the Champions League, and the honour of scoring their first goal in the competition goes to Mark Albrighton, and it's curled in by Mahrez, and it's absolutely brilliant, and Leicester City are flying. The English champions have settled very quickly to life in the Champions League. Vardy now is away for Leicester City, streaking down the centre. Surely is brought down by Mutel, and the penalty kick is given. Mahrez has already scored one. He steps up, right-footed, and makes no mistake. And Riyad Mahrez sets the seal on a glorious opening night for Leicester City in the Champions League. Full-time, Club Brugge 0, Leicester City 3.
That was live on talkSPORT last night, of course.
Certainly was.
Leicester at FC Bruges.
And wasn't it brilliant?
It was.
Honestly, it really took your breath away.
It was. And did you notice as well, the FC Bruges fans were singing You'll Never Walk Alone? We were talking about Liverpool earlier on in the show.
Yeah, why was that?
They were singing You'll Never Walk Alone. I don't know if it's one of their songs.
Yeah.
But it's not a Leicester song, is it?
Do you know what? I heard an advert for, some charity, and I think it's a cancer charity. Very worthy charity anyway. But they were singing You'll Never Walk Alone through the course of the advert. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? That song is so famously Liverpool's. I know it came from Carousel, the musical.
Yes.
And I know that Celtic claim it as their song in Scotland, but, it's a different country, I suppose.
Yeah.
But certainly in this country, in England, if that was a cancer research or whatever it was, that very much pinpoints that advert in a very particular part of this country, which is Liverpool, Merseyside, and
I
Anfield.
suppose. But maybe that's just a football thing, though.
Well, I don't think it is. I think anybody will tell you, that song is so identifiable with Liverpool Football Club that, in my view, I think it's a bad choice for a song in a charity advert because it's so recognisable as towards one group of people.
We've got to talk to Spencer Pryor in a second. Let me read you this from Andy. He says, I think Mike Parry's getting confused between Calvados and Cadiz.
No.
Spain borders France, yes, but they are 1,200 miles apart.
Yes, no, I know that. Don't worry. Calvados. I used to drink a lot of Calvados, actually.
Did you?
When I was younger and liked brandy. I don't drink brandy anymore because it's...
Glad to hear it.
It's firewater.
You haven't had any tonight, have you?
I haven't had any.
No, good. Let's talk to Spencer instead.
Indeed.
Spencer, very good morning to you.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Hi, Spencer.
It's evening where you are, it's morning where we are. But it's a very, very bright new day for both Manchester City and Leicester, particularly Leicester, who've won their first ever Champions League game in some style.
What a spectacular start of the Champions League. Yep. And to be fair, after the Premier League start, I think people were sort of half expecting them to just go and get rolled over. But it's a fantastic start, isn't it, for everybody, Just shows that the success that they had last year, it wasn't a fluke. And they can now go and do the stuff in the Champions League.
Sure.
Right?
Although they didn't look much against Liverpool, did they, at the weekend? You wonder whether maybe the Champions League was on their minds.
But you know, of course, I still think the Premier League is their priority. It has to be. And let's be realistic. Survival in the Premier League is still going to be the most important thing for them. And given the the schedule that they'll have now with the Champions League games, I think that's going to be the hardest thing, is managing the players through the Premier League sort of space to make sure that they can maintain their status in there. And that will be their priority. But let's not take it away from them. What a fantastic night and what a great achievement for everybody involved with the club.
Well, actually, Spencer, I think you've got something there. I think that Claudio Ranieri, their manager, might have the mindset that, look, we took the Premier League by surprise last season. They didn't see us coming. I'm going to adapt the same sort of approach to the Champions League this season because nobody in Europe is going to see us coming. And as a result, he could, again, pull off some spectacular results.
When he come out in the week and said, we need another miracle to win the Champions League.
Yeah. Why not?
I wonder if people start thinking, you know what, they actually could. They actually could. And the reality is, we know. I've got to say, no, we know they can't.
Yeah.
We know they can't win the Champions League, but we said they wouldn't win the Premier League, right? And people went, no, they can't do that. And look, they're not going to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
I just hope that we embrace what they've achieved so far. We embrace the success that they had last night, and that they do continue to keep moving forward and growing in the Premier League. That's what I want to see for the club. It's an amazing turnaround over the last 18 months, 2 years. It's an incredible story. Really, just
what was interesting actually as well last night, and somebody pointed out on the TV commentary that it wasn't a full stadium, and it wasn't because of the fact that FC Bruges don't have enough fans or because Leicester didn't send quite a few over. But somebody said, had it been a slightly more glamorous sort of sounding English club, if it had been Liverpool or Manchester United or maybe even Manchester City, more people would have turned out to see them.
Absolutely, no doubt. And you know what? That sort of plays to Leicester's advantage as well. It really does. Clubs will underestimate them, and they'll underestimate what they'll be able to do on the pitch. And Claudio Ranieri's got such an incredible insight into how to manage in a European competition that they'll be dangerous. They'll be very, very dangerous. And you know, to win away from home now sets them up really nicely for the next game against Porto at home. If they go and win that, who says they can't get out of the group stage?
I think they'll definitely. I think they'll definitely get out of the group stage. Whether they'll get into the knockout stages, I'm not sure. It's not a great line, Spencer, but we'll try and see if we can improve it a little bit for you. But one of the things I was going to ask you about actually, Manchester City's ground wasn't terribly busy either.
It wasn't busy at all, is it? And I'm not sure what sort of interpretation you can put on that now. We do know that there are far too many games in the group stages before Christmas because superior teams like Manchester City will almost certainly have dead rubber games coming into November, December. You know what I mean?
What you mean if they win their first sort of three?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I wonder whether the Manchester City fans are being quite clever. It's very expensive.
But Manchester City fans have always been quite kind of, shall we say, offhand about the Champions League.
Quite reluctant.
Yeah, I mean they've always turned their backs on the whole idea of the Champions League music. Quite often they don't turn up for midweek games.
Old Pep asked the fans, or made some suggestion the fans shouldn't, perhaps treat the anthem with derision.
Well, no, because for him it's a massive thing. I mean,
he's won it twice.
He loves the Champions League.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah,
he loves the Champions League.
But what I'm saying is, fans have to be quite clever these days how they spend their money on football. Football's a very, very expensive business.
It is,
and particularly if you're a father and you take one of your boys or even two of your boys or something like that, the money does not pile up.
Did I not hear the other night on talkSPORT that some Leeds fan rang up and said that the cheapest ticket for walking up to the Leeds Blackburn game was £40? Which seems incredible, doesn't it?
Sorry, when you say walk up, you mean if you just turned up on the night?
Just walked up,
£40. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's
£40's an awful lot of money.
I think it's terribly expensive. Yeah.
Now we've got Spencer back. Let me just ask him one more quick question. Spencer, I'm hoping that line is a bit better. Is that a bit better?
Hello. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That's fine.
I just wanted to ask you, I don't know if you saw the Spurs game, because the Spurs game was very, very much the game of the night in terms of the glamour, playing at Wembley, biggest crowd ever seen in front of a domestic team, and they seemed to kind of freeze, didn't they?
I'll be honest, I haven't watched it, but I would have hoped that, given it was at Wembley, that they would have got off to a great start. I was busy watching Man City play, unfortunately. Given the tie that I've got with them, but you would have hoped that given it was the first game at Wembley, they would have got off to a better start. It makes it a bit difficult for them now. It makes it a tough, really tough ask after that first score.
Well, it does as well, because it also might mean that Wembley is not really exactly the place where they are going to play as well as they play at White Hart Lane, which is what you were saying earlier.
Well, exactly. And, of course, they've got a permanent, when I say permanent, semi-permanent move coming up when they get round to knocking down so much of White Hart Lane they can't play there anymore.
Well, they'll be playing all their games at Wembley, isn't
That's
that
what I'm saying, yeah, exactly.
And I presume they won't all be for 85,000 people.
Well,
filled.
they can't be, because you can't keep up that intensity of support, either financially or in people's commitment to go to Wembley from where they are now.
Exactly right. Now, let me read you a few tweets.
Yes.
Here's one from David at the Two Mics. He says, sucking the monkey supposedly did affect Nelson's body. The Navy term for brandy is Nelson's blood, due to this legend.
No, I'm
so
sorry.
people must have sucked the Calvados or the brandy or whatever it was out of the barrel that Nelson was in with a straw, because that is part of Navy folklore. I thought you would have known that.
No, that's such a revolting suggestion. I won't accept it. I'm not accepting it at all.
Well, it's a naval kind of story. So
it's a legend thing. How do you get a straw through a barrel?
Well, very easily.
How?
You only need a tiny little slit in the top of it, don't you?
No, because then the Calvados would start pouring out.
No, if it was in the top. Do you not understand the way water and liquid goes to the bottom of a barrel?
Listen, mate, if you punched a hole in a barrel...
In the top of the barrel?
The top. No, you don't understand.
In the top of a barrel?
No, you don't understand. A barrel has to be laid on its side to put a body in, OK? So if you...
I presumed it could be upright, though.
No, it wasn't
Why
upright.
not?
Because if it was upright, you'd be bringing Nelson home, standing up in a barrel full of Calvados...
well, what, you'd rather him lying down?
Of course.
What difference does it make?
It makes a huge difference to the dignity and the preservation of the body.
OK, well, even if it's on its side, you can still pop a hole in the top of it, which is where the liquid, joins, there's a gap between the top of the liquid and the top of the barrel, and you suck it out from the top.
I think it's a load of nonsense,
It's very straightforward. I don't see why you can't understand it. Well, anyway, once again, we are very, very out of time.
Indeed.
We're very close to the top of the hour. Lots more coming up in the next hour, including Are We All Living in a Matrix? This is talkSPORT. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. There are people listening in all parts of the world, of course, at the moment.
Yes.
This is Parry, and there's one here, Martin from Australia, who says, you two should really have a health warning, as I've nearly rolled my fairways mower into a bunker listening to you here in Queensland.
Really?
I imagine about some of the stuff you've been coming out with, because Baggy Neil says this, don't you have to suck in air before blowing a trumpet, Porky, unless you know another way?
No.
# plank.
No, of course you don't. You get the trumpet, you put your mouth over it,
Well,
and you
where
go...
do you think the air comes from?
Sorry?
Where do you think the air comes from?
From your lungs, of course.
Yeah, but you have to breathe in the air into your lungs before you blow it out through the trumpet.
Yeah, but the idea that you are sucking in enough, air inside a working men's club to seriously impinge upon the quality of the capacity of your lungs is nonsense.
Well, I don't think you're an expert in that area. Charlie says this, adding to the things Porky doesn't have a clue about, list, playing the trumpet.
Yeah, OK, I didn't say I did play the trumpet. I know how a trumpet works. Now, listen, I want to talk to you
I had a friend who used to play the trumpet, actually.
Oh, really?
And he used to say to me that one of the things that you could do when you played the trumpet
Yes.
is you were able to bring air into just your mouth and blow it straight out again without having to take it into your lungs.
Really?
And the reason he said that this was of some use, this was a very long time ago, back in the sort of late 70s, I guess, when I was going to college, was he said that if you were ever given a breathalyzer, he could breathe in air straight into his mouth and straight out again, so it didn't actually go inside his lungs.
What, you mean he learned how to cheat the breathalyzer?
Yeah.
Well, that's a disgraceful
It is a disgraceful
way
thing, and that's what I told him.
Of utilising
that's what I told
sort
him.
of practice.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't think that works. I've heard of that before. I don't think that
I've
ever
no
works.
idea.
I mean, in my day, when the breathalyzer...
I've only ever been breathalyzed once in my life, and I passed.
I've been breathalyzed... Yeah, I was breathalyzed once, and I passed as well. It was in the middle of Chester. I forgot to put the lights on the company car.
No dear. Was that when you hit the roundabout?
No. That was in Birmingham, and I wasn't breathalyzed on that occasion.
It was a Chester car you wrecked.
Yes, I did.
So you wrecked that one as well?
I did, actually, yeah.
But you also went over another roundabout in Birmingham?
Yeah, I did, yeah. But that's another story.
Your driving history is appalling.
It's not good. Well, no, I haven't had an accident or a speeding ticket for 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, so that's OK. Now then, what I was going to say to you was... What were you talking about then?
Well, I can read you another tweet out to remind you from Scottish Bully, who says... oh, no, actually, I can't read that one. That's actually a bit too rude.
Right, OK.
But it's all about clutches and
OK, never mind that. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about, right, was J.K. Rowling.
Yes.
Now, a wonderful woman who brought Harry Potter to the world, from absolutely nothing, and she invented a legend, truly a legend. I mean, they'll still be reading and talking about Harry Potter in 200 or 300 years' time.
Yeah.
However, she has made big on her socialist credentials during the course of her life, which she's perfectly entitled to do.
She has. She was a great supporter of the Labour Party, wasn't she?
Yeah, great supporter of the Labour Party. Incredibly wealthy woman. I think in the last Sunday Times Rich List, I think it was up to like 700 million.
Yeah.
Which you would expect because, you know, what she created is a worldwide phenomenon, book sales, films.
Well, I think the films are now the biggest film franchise of all time.
I think you're
Even
right.
possibly bigger than Star Wars.
Or James Bond or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But anyway, I'm reading reports. It's astonishing, really. She has, according to these reports, she bought a boat for £22 million.
It's quite a big boat, really, isn't it?
It's a boat that used to be owned by Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's called the Amphitrite, okay?
Right.
Fitted out in glamorous 1930s style, sleeps 10 guests, all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And has 2 tender boats and can be hired for more than £100,000 a week if you want to lease it out, which a lot of yacht owners do, obviously.
Right.
But anyway, it says here she bought it after she spent a holiday on it with her husband and her children. And she thought it was such a delightful holiday, you know what I mean? Like a sort of wonderland, you know, the family on this boat and all that in the Capri or somewhere like that, I think it was, you know, Greek islands or whatever.
Right.
She bought it for $22 million. Now, a few months later, she has decided that she's not like, you know, she doesn't want to retain the boat, so she's selling it. And according to these reports, it's been put back on the market for $15 million.
And did she buy it new?
No, she bought it off Johnny Depp.
Oh, of course.
I've told you that once already.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, well,
Can you keep up?
Yeah, all right. So presumably he paid even more money for it then.
Well, I assume
it'd be like
so.
a car, wouldn't it? I mean, if you bought, for example, I don't know,
Yes.
a Bentley from Johnny Depp,
Yes.
and then a couple of years later you decided to sell it on, it would be worth less money, wouldn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. Johnny Depp, I think, had it commissioned.
Right.
And it's an old style. Yeah, I'll show you a picture of it.
Is it a bit like the Britannia or something like that?
It is a bit like that. It's an older
Beautiful,
style.
isn't it?
It's like a 1930s style. You know, the sort of boat you might have seen Humphrey Bogart
Well,
on
it might
or something
actually
like that.
be an old boat then. Maybe Johnny Depp will happen to be the last owner of it.
No, I think it was commissioned to be built in that style rather than the style of the very famous Sir Philip Green boat.
Yes.
What's it called?
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, well, we all know what it's called, don't we? Braveheart.
Braveheart,
yeah. But anyway, so it says the Pirates of the Caribbean star owned the yacht. This is Johnny Depp when he was married to French singer Vanessa Paradis Depp.
Oh, yeah.
Vanessa Paradis.
Vanessa Paradis.
Yeah. Depp named the yacht the this is difficult to pronounce. The Vajolly Roja. No, the Vajolly... Honestly. Yeah, the Vajolly Roja. No, it's the Vajolly Roja.
The Vajolly Roja.
No, it's Vajolliroja. The Vajolly Roja. It's a funny name.
Oh, it certainly is.
And it says that what you've just said, it said that was supposed to be Johnny Depp's pun on the Jolly Roger.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Using the first 2 letters of Vanessa. So it's
That's
Jolly
a bit
Roger.
unfortunate, that really, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's Jolly Roger with V and A on the front. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. She must have been thrilled.
Well, exactly. Anyway, Johnny and the names of their children, Lily, Rose and Jack.
Right.
So that was all put together in this name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think I would have advised them against that.
Well, I agree. Its name was changed early last year when Depp sold the yacht after marrying Amber Heard.
Right.
So obviously Amber Heard said, that's your love boat yacht. Get rid of that.
Get rid of that, yeah. Especially if it's named after Vanessa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the 1930s style super yacht, which can sleep 10 guests, had to go. Now, it's got a master bedroom, main deck, 4 other bedrooms, spacious dining, entertaining, OK? The for sale advert placed on Yacht Broker's website, Curtis Stoke & Associates, includes photos of the Amphitrite's lavishly decorated interior.
Yeah.
Wallpaper and all this kind of stuff, you know, crushed velvet seating. But included in the purchase price and artworks are 2 rigid inflatable tender boats and all kind of stuff. However, it seems that after buying it for £22 million, Miss Rowling has put the 156-foot Amphitrite,
yes,
formerly owned by Johnny, up for sale at just over $15 million.
Right. But that's not that surprising. I mean, it's an enormous amount of money to not actually to worry about losing. But, I mean, it's like buying a car, quite an expensive car, which loses half its value the first year you own it. I mean, like your car, for example, is worth nothing now.
Well, you may be right. But what I'm saying is sometimes these boats actually go up in price because they are so rare, you know, in the sense that they are commissioned and there's a supply and demand situation. But the point I'm making is that sorry, what are you laughing at?
I was just looking at some of the tweets that are coming in.
Right, because of
your pronunciation of the name of the boat.
Well, you know, it wasn't my fault. I didn't realise it's Jolly Roger with VA on the front.
I know.
It's Vajolly Roger.
Yes, I know.
You know, that's how you pronounce it, okay, if anyone wants to know.
All right.
But anyway, look. The point I'm making is that Ms. Rowling, who has contributed an immense amount of culture and pleasure to the world, to millions of people, with her socialist credentials, is it not a bit careless to evaporate £7 million?
Well, you might say that, yes.
Which could have built a hospital.
But if she's
which
worth,
could have gone and
well, you
really,
can't build a hospital with $7 million.
Well, you could in somewhere like Lesotho or something like that. That's what I'm saying. So. Overseas aid or something like that.
I don't think so. But I mean, the thing is, if you're worth 700 million, $7 million is not very much money, is it?
No, but you shouldn't waste money. You shouldn't waste £7 million under any circumstances. No, not to that extent.
Well,
or
no,
anything
not to
like
that extent. No, but I mean, if you had that kind of money, you probably would.
Well, I'm not sure I would.
Even buy, look at those headphones you bought.
Yeah.
Everybody else can buy them for about £50, and you paid $200 for them.
Oh, rubbish.
Because you've got a faux leather pouch to go with them.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, well, I like the leather pouch. It's not faux leather.
It is faux leather.
Anyway, the point I'm making is, what point am I making here? I'm not criticising. I'm not criticising.
You're saying socialists shouldn't be rich, basically, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I don't mind. As Peter Mandelson once said, we're incredibly relaxed about anybody getting filthy rich under our government.
Well, they were.
And, they were very relaxed.
Now look what happened to them.
Exactly. And then
the Corbynites are not in favour of people being rich.
No, but, the filthy rich lot didn't half sort of, what should I say, pad out the saddlebags of one Tony Blair when he left office, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, I'm not criticising, I'm just saying it seems such an odd sort of careless way to waste money for somebody who clearly realises the value of money, because the very famous story that Ms. Rowling has always told us is that she started writing the Harry Potter books when she was an unemployed single mother from a cafe in Edinburgh where she'd go every day.
And I think it was down not far from where we stayed in Leith, actually.
Leith
down
Walk.
That way, wasn't it?
Leith Walk, down the bottom of Leith Walk, that's right, yeah. And I just thought I was odd. I mean, I'm sure other people will have their own views on it.
I'm sure they will. Dylan says J.K. Rowling also donated £1 million to the No campaign in the Scottish referendum.
She did.
She's a real hate figure now for some of the people who want independence in Scotland.
Well, I mean, is there anybody left...
She got trolled remorselessly.
Is there anybody left in Scotland who thinks that independence is viable anymore now that the oil price has crashed?
Yeah. Well, there's loads of people.
They can't possibly.
Well, there's loads of people who still want independence. That's why they keep talking about having a second referendum.
Yeah, but there's not going to be another referendum because it's mad. If Scotland now went to independence, where on earth would they get any revenues from?
Well, that's a very good question. Yeah. But, I mean, we could talk all night about that.
Of course.
I don't think we're going to, though. A time traveller says this, Porky's gone sex mad tonight, but I can't read the rest of it out either.
What?
I think he's referring to some of the things you've been talking about.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not. It just so happens an unfortunate use of words can always. It
can. And how about this? We're going to have to stop in a minute as well. But some people get obsessed with things. This guy called John is asking about the 1966 quiz.
Yes.
Which I think we must have done weeks and weeks and weeks ago.
Certainly to coincide with the anniversary of the World Cup victory.
And he says there is no commentary on the Beatles' Glass Onion. Can MG prove otherwise? #QuizFix. Well, John, it's a very long time ago, but I'm pretty sure that the information that was provided to me by the independent quizmasters was that there is, on a limited edition version of Glass Onion, a bit of commentary from the 1966 World Cup.
Is there? I didn't know that.
You got it wrong.
Oh,
that's what he's questioning.
I see. Well, that's a very long time ago.
Well, it is
a very strange thing,
It is a very strange thing to come up with. Yes. Anyway, this week the quiz is on the Clintons, not on Hillary Clinton, which we did before, but on the Clintons in general.
Indeed.
This is talkSPORT.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
I'm waiting. I am the pilot of the storm, the drifting pleasure I may drown. I built this ship, it is my making, and furthermore my self-control I can't rely on anymore.
You recognise that voice?
That voice?
Yeah, do you recognise it?
Why crazy on a ship of fools? Crazy.
It's not a particularly well-known song, so I'm not surprised. It's Robert Plant.
It's who?
Robert Plant.
Robert Plant, okay. Yeah. Didn't he do Crazy for Love or something?
Eh?
No, what was that? Didn't Robert Plant do the song where the video showed these gorgeous-looking girls holding guitars?
No.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
And they all had black and white outfits on.
You're
thinking
of Addicted to Love, aren't you?
Addicted to Love.
Yeah, that wasn't Robert Plant.
Who was that?
Robert Plant is the lead singer for Led Zeppelin.
Oh, Robert Plant, him.
Yeah, him,
I know
with
you're
the
talking
long
about.
curly corkscrew
Jimmy
hair.
Page's mate.
That's right.
Yeah. Who's the other one? Who's
Robert
the other?
Palmer is
Robert Palmer, that's the guy. That's the guy I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think he's dead as well.
Who, Robert Palmer?
Robert Palmer, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I think so. I
sure
think
about
he died
that.
of a heart attack.
I don't think Robert Plant's dead.
Yeah, Robert Plant's definitely not dead.
No, he lives in the
says
Midlands.
This, it's true, the special edition of Glass Onion does include a loop of Kenneth Wilson Holmes shouting, "It's a goal."
Really?
And he points out that it wasn't written until 1968.
Right.
Which is why it included some of that from 66. So
Right,
there we are.
okay.
Now, here's an interesting one for
Yes.
William. A couple of people have asked the question, actually, what's happened to Derek in Pencoed?
Yeah, that's right,
the
bog cleaner.
Yeah, people are getting generally concerned because they haven't heard from him for a while. So
Indeed.
if you're listening, Derek, you send us a note to make sure we're right.
From Pencoed.
William says this, there's a saying, it's only plastic money, meaning it's worthless. Now we have real £5 plastic notes.
Yeah, we do.
Have you got one yet?
No, I haven't got one yet, but I've been in countries where they've been used, and it is like monopoly money. You have to get used to them. However, I do understand that the wear and tear situation with notes for years has been degenerating because people do strange things with
Well,
money.
it's not so much that. It's the fact that, I mean, I've never actually had a note disintegrate on me. Have
No,
you?
I haven't. But like, you get torn notes and you get dirty notes and that kind of stuff, you know. So I don't mind. I think. Do you know what? I think the last time I was in Australia, and that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They had plastic money there.
Did they?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've been somewhere with plastic money. It didn't bother me at all.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Now then, now listen. I was telling you about Roy Hudd, right?
Yes.
But it's not really about Roy Hudd. Do you know what it's about?
Know what's it about?
It's about Gracie Fields.
Okay.
Right. Now
Well, she's even older.
yes, she's much older, but they're erecting a statue of her.
Right.
Roy Hudd announces he'll be unveiling a statue of the music hall and film star Dame Gracie Fields in her birthplace of. Go on, tell me.
She was born in somewhere like Blackburn, wasn't she?
Rochdale. Very close, yeah.
Well, I was nearly right.
Rochdale, Lancashire. And Roy Hudd says, it's my honour to do it. She is the lady I admire more than any other female performer that I've ever come across in my lifetime. Now, the great thing about Gracie Fields was she had two famous records. One of them was Sally.
Right.
Now, do you know that one?
Not really. Well, Gracie Fields was a very long time ago. When did Gracie Fields die?
Sally? Oh...
She must have died, like, when I was a child.
No. She died in... well, she died a long time ago. But she, unfortunately, she had a bit of cancer.
But you don't know how long ago.
Well,
Roy
yes.
Hudd's 80.
Right, she died in 1979.
79, yeah.
And she was 81 then.
So I was still a teenager.
So she was 81 then.
Yeah.
So she was born...
in the previous century.
Exactly, 1898.
Yeah.
So even when the Second World War came round, that was in 39, she was 41.
Yeah.
So she was like getting on for 50 when the war ended.
Exactly.
So she wasn't exactly...
Well, so there's not going to be a lot of people listening to this show right now who've even heard of it.
No, they won't. But they will remember this song, you see, because I made a film about her. Sally...
I don't remember that song at all.
Pride of our alley.
Alley?
Yeah, I don't remember
It's
that
not terribly
one.
romantic, is it?
It's
Pride of
not
our
really.
alley.
Yeah, I don't know.
Morals of an alley cat.
Alley cat, yeah. Sally, pride of our alley. Yeah. But they say that's her signature tune.
Is it?
But, in my view, her signature tune was We'll Meet Again, wasn't it?
Wasn't that Vera Lynn?
Was that Vera Lynn?
I'm sure it was Vera Lynn.
No, Vera Lynn was...
Well, the White Cliffs of Dover.
Be blue.
Yeah, all right.
Birds over.
But why would you be going on about all these women that nobody's ever heard of unless they were about 90?
Who?
You.
No, I'm just saying that I think it's great because being a man from the north of England, we don't have enough statues for enough of our good people. Like, for instance, in Morecambe, literally on the front there is a statue of Eric Morecambe. But the only other statues...
That's relatively recent, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite recent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The only other statues are from the Industrial Revolution, so I think we a few more northern statues. So I'm delighted that there is a statue being unveiled for Dame Gracie Fields.
I'm surprised there hasn't been one done before, though.
Yeah, well, I am a bit. But one of the reasons why she was so popular, this is the one of the points of my story, is that she became very wealthy, in sort of the 20s and the 30s because she was such an internationally popular singer, right?
Yeah.
But during the war, do you know what she did with her wealth?
What did she do? Well, she died in Capri, I'm reading.
She emigrated to Capri, you're absolutely right, and I think that was for health reasons or something like that. But
beautiful Capri, have you been there?
Hey?
Have you been to Capri?
No, I haven't, no.
Gorgeous.
Good, is it? Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, good. But what she did during the Second World War was She said that she was so proud of the soldiers who fought in the Second World War from Rochdale, her hometown, that any time a soldier came back and his ship landed in Southampton or he was flown back into an air base in the south of England, she would pay for their railway fare to get them home to Rochdale to spend time with their family.
That's nice of her.
And she would then pay again for the railway fare to get them back to their base. And she became famous for that. She was a true wonderful lady.
She's a real forces darling. But I can't find
yeah.
any record of her singing We'll Meet Again. I've seen some songs of hers here.
Well,
Wish Me Luck As You Wave Me Goodbye. The Biggest Aspidistra in the World.
Hang on.
Walter. Does that lead me to the altar?
Hang on. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye.
Well, you may know all these songs, but nobody else does. Sing As We Go.
Sing As We Go. No,
I took my heart to a party.
I took my heart to... Well, it's not like I lost my heart in San Francisco,
In
is
my
it?
little bottom drawer.
In my little bottom drawer.
Pedro the Fisherman.
What? Who? Pedro?
Yeah, Pedro.
Oh, she probably wrote that in Capri.
Little Donkey.
Oh, yeah, we all know that one, don't we?
No.
Little donkey,
Well, they all
little
sound the same.
donkey.
Will you love me when I'm mutton?
Will you love me when I'm mutton?
I presume that means Mutton Jeff.
Yeah, deaf.
Yeah.
Will you love me when I'm deaf?
Red Sails in the Sunset.
Red Sails in the Sunset.
He's dead, but he won't lie down. It's nice. I'm sorry, I don't recognise
that was probably written about some, northern guy who was, in the pub all the time, drinking half pints of brown ale or something like that.
Fred Fanakapan.
Who probably drunk himself to death, but then kept sort of flopping back up off his deathbed.
This is just another pathetic attempt by you to sort of try and show that you've got northern roots.
No, not at all. I think it's a noteworthy happening. I really think it's a noteworthy happening. Old Gracie Fields, because we forget about our heritage far too quickly in this country. And I'm glad that the contribution she's made is being marked.
Yes.
Okay.
Vicky says this: is Porky going to see the Beatles 8 days a week tomorrow? I pity the poor folk sitting next to him if he is.
Well, I won't be able to go and see it tomorrow, but I do hope I may be able to see it over the weekend. Thing is, this weekend it's a mission up to Goodison on Saturday, right? Oh, yeah. For the Everton game. It's 5:30.
Are you sure it's on Saturday? The only reason I ask is there was some numpty on Twitter the other day having a go at me saying that I'd suggested that it was an easy game for Everton against Middlesbrough, right? Yeah. Because it was, in fact, Adrian Heath who said that for the next 3 Everton games they should get 9 points.
That's right, yeah.
And he said it was on Sunday. And I said, I think you'll find the game's on Saturday.
No, it is Saturday.
And then he was insistent that it was moved to Sunday.
999. It's definitely on Saturday. It's at 5:30. And it's a great time to have a game because if you think about it, remember... We were in Liverpool a couple of years ago doing a show there for some unknown reason.
Well, no, we went up to see the Liverpool-Everton derby.
Oh, that's right, yeah, we did, yeah.
At Anfield, at the request or at the invitation, shall we say, of one of the players.
That's right,
which
we did.
was very nice. And we watched it from his box, as I recall.
That's right, we did, and went to an Italian restaurant.
We did, and then we did a show the following day.
From
Juice FM.
That's right, yeah.
But that was years ago.
It was a few years ago,
about 5 or 6 years ago.
But what I'm saying is, I think that game was about the same time. I think it was a sort of early evening kick-off,
No, it wasn't.
What was it, 3 o'clock?
No, it was an afternoon kick-off.
Was it? Okay, yeah, fine. Anyway, the point is...
As we drove up, do you remember? You picked me up.
I do,
because I'd been to a party the night before,
that's right.
which was down in sort of Twickenham area.
That's right, yeah.
And you picked me up from a hotel down there, and we went all the way up.
That's right.
And I think it was a 3 o'clock kickoff.
I think it probably was. Anyway, the point of my story is, I love the 5:30 kickoff because what happens is you can have some lunch on that day, right?
Yeah.
At the ground at about 3 o'clock.
Is that what you'll be doing?
Yes, I will, because I have a facility at Goodison to sit down and join my friends for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
3-course lunch.
What friends will they be then?
Well, friends who support Everton, like-minded friends,
okay.
you see what I mean?
Right.
And that's in the ground. And then the old game kicks off 5:30, great. So game's usually over 2 hours, 7:30, okay. A few sherbets in the
Sounds
lounge.
like a recipe for disaster.
And then...
By the time 5:30 rolls around, you won't know what's going on.
Oh, no, I will, don't worry. I'm very measured, moderation in moderation, believe me. And then at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, you can arrange to meet another group of friends at something like the Beatles Hotel, the Hard Day's Night, down and around Matthew Street, around there, the old Beatles culture and all that. And have a splendid evening in Liverpool, you see.
That's going to be a long night then, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
A long day and a long night.
And then
hard
return,
day's night.
Yeah, hard day's night, definitely. And then return on Sunday. So that'll be all splendid stuff.
Okay. Dylan says this: it's not a flash in the pan, Porky. Scottish independence is still huge up here. You're stupid for thinking that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to denigrate or rubbish anybody who still has ambitions for Scotland to be an independent country. What I'm saying is, and and this is a very serious question, if Scotland when Scotland last applied or sought a mandate to become an independent country, oil revenues were enormous.
Yeah, they were. And now they've gone down by 98%.
Exactly. That's not the position now.
Which is not good.
It's the only point I'm making.
Right.
Making.
Mating.
Mating. Yeah.
You're obsessed tonight, aren't you?
No.
You must have Sarah on the brain.
No, it's
mating.
It's a different geopolitical situation. That's all.
Vajolly Rogers, it's unbelievable.
It is.
Coming up next, though, we're going to be talking about whether we are all living in a parallel universe of some kind or just an altered reality. Could it be actually like the Matrix? This is talkSPORT. talkSPORT, we are the two mics. We've got loads more coming up, including Porky Vision, of course, coming up in the next hour. You can tweet us, of course, at the two mics, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. Right now, though, we're going to talk to a man by the name of Rob Simone, who is a paranormal expert. And I'll tell you why, Porky, because there's just a couple of theories going around at the moment. One from an Oxford University philosopher called Nick Bostrom, that we could be living in some kind of Matrix-style reality. Now, I don't know if you've seen the film The Matrix, have you?
I haven't, actually, no.
With Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves,
It's basically a sort of dystopian future.
Right.
Where the world is controlled by machines.
Yes.
And the people who are in the world are basically controlled by those machines as well. And he becomes a rebel and he tries to kind of, beat the machines and find humanity again. So let's talk to Rob and see whether there's any truth to the possibility of any of this going on. Rob, a very good morning to you.
Mike and Mike, good to be with you again. How are you?
And yourself? Very well indeed, thank you.
Very well indeed. Now, this is one of those kind of stories that's gained a bit of momentum in recent times, hasn't it? Because some people are lending their names to the possibility that it could be the case.
Yeah, Elon Musk was really fascinated by this concept that we're all living in this simulation.
Right.
But it really goes back to ancient Greece. The philosopher Zeno of Elena talked about it, René Descartes talked about it, and the Matrix got it. The Wachowski brothers picked it up from the book. Some of the philosophers, a book called The Simulacra and Simulation.
But I'm hearing now
that
that now Merrill Lynch and some kind of financial types are deciding that they've got a theory that goes along these lines as well.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, puts out this memo to its clients and says, basically it's a 20 to 50% chance that we're all living in a matrix. Personally, I think it's to get their clients to invest in some more of these shaky bond deals.
Well, I mean, you can never really trust anyone from Wall Street these days. So, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think they've added anything to it other than some doubt. But, I mean, imagine if this was the case. What would it actually, how would we know?
Well, see, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of good people working on this, a lot of great scientists, and they think that if they do these tests, they can figure out, they can sort of see the cracks in the programming. Some of them have to do with the lattices and the cosmic rays and these neutrino oscillations. But, at this point, we really don't even know. We don't even have the science to prove whether or not we're living in a simulation. All we can say is that the way things are going with technology and artificial intelligence and computing power going up and up and up, in 1,000 years, we might have the technology to make something so real you wouldn't know the difference. And so a lot of people think, well, hey, it's possible.
Yeah, well, listen, Rob, I really appreciate you being on the show and explaining all this to us because, if it's out there, we've got to know about it. Now, I've just said to my broadcasting partner here, Mike Graham, I'm Mike Parry, we're the two Mikes. I've said, look, I can work...
Yes, we are.
Yes, I know. I can work this out for you. And what I said to him was, if he holds his arm out, right, and I get hold of his lighter that he uses to smoke 40 cigarettes a day, which is impeding its health dramatically.
Smoke 40 cigarettes a day.
Okay? And if I just click that lighter and then burn the skin on the underneath of his arm for a few seconds, he'll pretty damn well soon find out.
Be the test.
He's not.
No, that's very simplistic.
No. I'm telling you, Rob, he'll pretty soon damn well find out that he's not actually
you can still
in the
feel
imagination of a higher being. He is in fact real. So I mean,
but that's not the idea. The idea is not that you're in somebody's imagination. The idea is that you are being controlled by a system.
Excuse me, I'd like Rob to explain this. Yes.
Please explain to Porky, Rob, what you're talking about.
Well, I think the best sort of argument that anybody can make that we are living in a simulation is the fact that Leicester City just won the Premier League.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Well, I mean, funny you should say that. Stranger things have happened. That's an expression that's often used in our society. But if that's the case, does that mean that these people who are controlling us occasionally send us a curved ball, like Leicester City winning the Premier League, like, for instance, maybe some terrible disaster that nobody could foresee, a volcano erupting or something like that, just to remind us that they can make things happen in the world that we can't?
Well, it's very philosophical, yeah. I suppose that what they could be doing is creating a civilization of their ancestors to relive, because we have all maybe have died out eons from now.
I mean, for instance, do you think that perhaps they could have been responsible for some of the world's great tragedies? The sinking of the Titanic, the exploding of a rocket on its way to the moon, just to remind us that they control our destiny and not us?
Well, I can think of some bad things that I would love to be able to say, hey, this is just a test from some sort of cosmic overlord. But we don't know. But I think that if we keep imagining ourselves as a figment of somebody else's imagination, then it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit, and maybe we wouldn't be so upset on the drive home. And
well, it's a little bit like
road rage.
It's not that different, is it, from people who believe that there is a God controlling everything, that there is a God, for example, who created Earth, who created all the animals, who created us, and who creates everything that happens.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think that there's a lot of things that are unexplained that could be explained by this theory?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that are unexplained that could be explained by a million different theories, Rob, on the Earth. This is the whole point about the existence of man and life and beings and creatures. We are all so unpredictable. Do
you believe in fate, for example?
I believe that you are in charge of your own destiny and your own fate. That's what I believe. Or what I believe is, Rob, that the way you behave in life eventually, gives you the piece of paper in the checkout till, which is the sum matter of your life. I believe that you're in control of it. I don't think other people are controlling me.
What do you mean? Where do you take the piece of paper?
Sorry?
Where do you take the piece of paper?
You get the piece of paper in life. You get
but where do you take it, then?
You get a till receipt for what you've put into life. You see, I believe very strongly, Rob, you only get out of life what you put into life. I don't think any great superior being is controlling me because I'm uncontrollable, if you see what I mean.
I can vouch for that.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think there's a supreme being controlling you. I mean, you could barely pronounce the name of Johnny Depp's boat.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Well, I mean, that was a difficult one, I have to say. I mean, it sounded like something very, very different.
No, but if there was a superior being controlling me, he wouldn't get me tongue-tied trying to pronounce the name of Johnny Depp.
Well, maybe he would, though. But that's the point, isn't it? I mean, if you were kind of following the plot of The Matrix, the movie, where you'd have all these kind of black-suited agents walking around making sure that everybody behaved themselves the right way and that nobody rebelled and everybody kind of became the same, or at least controllable in some way. They didn't realise, most of them, until Neo appeared, that they were being controlled.
Yeah. I mean, Rob...
Excuse me, I'm asking Rob.
Well, yeah, but this is all gobbledygook.
It's a movie. Have you seen The Matrix?
No.
Of course you haven't.
And the movies aren't real.
It's a great film.
Movies aren't real, OK?
Yeah, well, I keep telling you that.
Believe it or not, Star Wars never happened, OK? It was a movie, and a number of movies.
Yeah, it happened a long time ago.
It's a load of gobbledygook, Rob, and I admire you for making a living talking this, this drivel, because, there are... there are
to go.
Sorry?
Are you taking a liberty?
No, not at all. But, I mean, people are fascinated by the unknown, aren't they?
Well, they are. But you're not helping to try and discover any of it because you're just saying the unknown doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't exist.
Well, you just said before that there's lots of things that can't be explained.
Things can't be explained because life is unpredictable.
Well, what about known unknowns?
There aren't any known unknowns.
Well, there are, according to Dick
Explain
Cheney.
one to me.
A known unknown is when you know that you don't know something. For example, you don't know how many ISIS terrorists there are currently walking around the streets of London.
Yes, but
that's a known unknown.
Yes, but that isn't. There's nothing abnormal about that. That is
well,
part.
I think there is.
That is part of the secrecy of the movement called ISIS, and eventually.
Yeah, but that's a known unknown.
Yeah, but it's not a known unknown because it's hidden or invisible. It's a known unknown because it's concealed by those who would want to wreak terror on Earth.
What do you think, Rob?
Well, I'm open to this idea that we're living in a simulation, but I think simulation puts people off. I think that it's the universe expressing itself, and I just think there's more to this idea. Otherwise, all these physicists wouldn't be on about it so much. But the other thing is, don't let it be an excuse. Try and make the highlight reel. I mean, if this is our future selves reliving, their ancient civilization, and we're a part of it, well, that says a lot about the Mike and Mike show.
It does. It does. Well, there's a lot of wisdom that comes out of this show that nobody can explain.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of wisdom in this show, which is perfectly explainable. The fact is that we spent years studying what's going on Earth, and therefore we have a legitimate right to express our views on things like this. I don't think it exists.
But that doesn't make it so, does it?
Well, I'm sorry, it's my opinion.
That's right.
Yeah, it's only an opinion.
That could have been the known unknown.
Well, I think it's a fantastic philosophical kind of conversation that you could pretty much have for the rest of time. And I think nobody can prove one way or the other whether it's true.
Not yet, but you never know what's hiding around the corner.
Yeah.
They're doing experiments on it right now. The fact that Bank of America decided to put this up to their clients is absolutely bizarre. So
that's really odd, isn't it?
Makes you wonder.
And also, I mean, if Donald Trump does in fact become president of the United States, then presumably people will start to wonder whether there is a plan afoot.
That could be the test right there. We have to, we have to hold ourselves together until election, and then but I'll be all right. I'll be living somewhere out in Kent in a little cottage. I'll be happy. I don't care.
Well, good.
Okay.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
Rob, thank you very much indeed.
Rob.
Rob Simone there, telling us about the latest kind of developments in the world of why are you shaking your head at me?
It's all conspiracy theories, and they don't exist. They don't exist.
No, this is coming out of Merrill Lynch's office.
It's drivel.
You've heard of Merrill Lynch, right?
Merrill Lynch, yeah.
You've heard of Bank of America.
Yeah.
This has come from them.
Yeah, but hang on, man. You've got to understand that the world nearly collapsed into financial meltdown because of organisations like Merrill Lynch. Not because of Merrill Lynch, but organisations like Merrill Lynch, which got, the way the world works so catastrophically wrong,
right.
It almost bankrupted us all.
Well,
let
me read you this, right? This is what their note said,
yes.
Okay, according to Business Insider magazine. Many scientists, philosophers and business leaders believe there is a 20 to 50% probability that humans are already living in a computer-simulated virtual world.
Sorry, who's published this drivel?
Merrill Lynch.
Well, that's
one
rubbish.
of the top Wall Street companies.
Well, yeah, but a top Wall Street company nearly took us down.
No,
do you agree?
Never mind that.
Yeah.
It explained that earlier this year, researchers gathered at the American Museum of Natural History to debate this notion. The argument is that we are already approaching photorealistic 3D simulations that millions of people can simultaneously participate in, which is true.
People actually get paid at Merrill Lynch to write this drivel.
Advancements in artificial intelligence, virtual reality and computing power, members of future civilizations could have decided to run a simulation of their ancestors. Unless we are now living in a simulation, our descendants will almost certainly never run an ancestor simulation.
What half-baked nonsense. Of course artificial intelligence exists because you can get a machine these days in which you can play chess against a computer,
That's
okay?
right.
So there is artificial intelligence.
Yes.
But not to the extent where it's overtaken the human brain.
But you don't know that.
Complete
because
nonsense.
If it was something larger than what we know, when there's an awful lot, lot we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know, for example, what's out there in the universe.
No,
we don't know what's out there even in our own solar system.
No, I totally agree.
So there's all sorts of things that could be possible.
But we've been sending rockets around, the bit of space that we can control for years to try and find something. There's nothing there.
Well, we haven't gone anywhere near.
That's because we can't.
Sort of a 1/1,000,000th of it.
That's because we don't have a spaceship that travels at the speed of light, you numpty.
Right.
If we did have, we'd have found something by now.
Well, maybe when we do have, we will.
Yeah,
but you won't be around to be proven wrong, unfortunately. Anyway, it's an interesting possibility. It's an
not
interesting thing to talk about.
It's drivel.
You think it's drivel?
Yeah, drivel.
Yeah, unlike some of the nonsense you come out with.
I don't come out with nonsense. I come out with
Vajolly Roger,
reason, debate.
Clutches and all the rest of it.
Reason, debate.
This is talkSPORT.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
Sally, don't ever wander away from the alley and me. Sally, Mary.
Well, for those of you who've never heard Gracie Fields' voice, that's what it sounds like. Apparently that was released in 1956. and I don't have it. I've never had it. I've never listened to it, and Porky obviously has. But I can't explain precisely what his reaction to it is at the moment, because just before Sally was being played there by the very talented men behind the glass, I'm afraid that he had to run out of the studio clutching his telephone. I don't know what's happened to it. I don't know whether it's going to burst into flames. But I'll read you a couple of tweets in the meantime before he comes back. Porky certainly backtracked when he once again insulted Rob, says Steve, especially when he realised what Porky was doing. Lord Rallo says, it took a bit, but the rude plank appeared. Luckily, MG is there to keep things civilised. And Gon says this, please ask Porky about Schrodinger's cat and Plato's cave. Blow his mind. Also explains to him what conspiracy means. Well, I have asked him before about the allegory of Plato's cave and about Schrodinger's cat, but he thinks that's a load of rubbish as well. And Roy says, every time I listen to Porky's drivel, I yearn for artificial intelligence. We are not in a matrix. It is a practical joke. Well, you'd hate to find out that you were in a matrix, but the thing that I find interesting about Porky is that he says it's all rubbish, it's all gobbledygook, but he believes in the devil, and he believes in heaven, and he believes in hell, and he believes in God. And he thinks that he's going to end up in heaven at some point, unless he does something terribly bad when he gets his chit at the end of his life and he has to end up going down to hell. So I'm not quite sure whether he's got this quite the right way round. D. Charlie says, wow, Porky should be a limbo dancer. This simulation discussion has gone way over his head. And Basil says, I'm sorry, Mike Parry, you're starting to sound like a right tool. Please put him in his place, MG. And Woodenhead says, computer graphics are made of millions of tiny pixels. We are made of millions of tiny cells. Something to think about. Well, lots of it is something to think about. But what's interesting about this whole business with Merrill Lynch is that they've actually put out this kind of briefing document, which is not supposed to be taken, I don't think, as read or taken as some kind of new form of suggested life. But the fact that they're paying attention to various things about artificial intelligence and about photorealistic 3D simulations, I think means something. And Elon Musk, who Rob Simone made a reference to there, who's the billionaire entrepreneur, of course, and founder of Tesla and PayPal, has previously said that there is only a 1 in a billion chance that we are not living in a computer simulation. I don't quite know what he means by that. And he spoke at San Francisco's Code Conference earlier this week, and he said that he has had so many simulations discussions that it is crazy. And it has got to the point where every conversation I'm having was now all about artificial intelligence and simulation conversations, which seems very strange indeed. And I'm not sure precisely where that all goes. But Porky has now returned to the studio, so we can now get some more artificial intelligence from him. Where the hell have you been?
Well, I'm sorry about that, mate, but I'm going to have to tell you a bit of a story now, right?
What happened to you?
Well, what happened was, during the last part of the show, my mobile device, as I call it, suddenly jumped into life.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, real life, you know, beep, 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 beep.
Right.
So
it started beeping.
Well, it was beeping because people were sending messages, and I thought, that's a very strange time of the day to get messages.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I then got a series of messages, right? And the message that I had to take note was, we would like to verify recent activity on your debit card.
Oh, dear.
I'm not giving any details,
No,
obviously.
don't give any details out.
And the next one says something like, somebody in New York City has been trying to spend quite large amounts of money on your card.
Really?
Are you in New York City?
Does that mean you think your card might have been cloned then?
Well, I don't know. But here, I'm just having a look here, look.
Well, he can't spend more money than you
So
spend.
here we go. Here we go. On 6th Avenue, which we know very well.
We do.
And somebody's tried to spend £62.59p.
Well, that's not a lot, is it?
No, it's not a lot. And that's dollars converted to pounds.
Right.
A few minutes later, somebody at 47 3rd Avenue.
Okay.
Right?
That's way down the bottom of 3rd Avenue.
That's way down the bottom of 3rd Avenue. Has been trying to spend £158.82.
Uh-huh.
At a third place at 47, again at 47 3rd Avenue. Somebody tried to start spending, but the person who was offered the card refused it.
Okay.
And that's when the alert came up.
Right.
So the card...
So the card's been cloned then, hasn't it?
I don't know.
You know what I mean by cloned, don't
Yes,
you?
yeah.
They've
yes.
actually got a copy of it.
Somebody's got a copy of it somewhere, yeah. And this card now has been rendered obsolete, okay?
So does that mean they've cancelled your debit card?
They've cancelled my debit card.
Right.
And the result of that is, I've just been told, because I was then told to phone this...
Well, is this why you had to go outside?
That's why I had to go outside. That's
right.
what I was near when the show came back. fact, I was asked to phone this emergency number, which I just have done,
Right.
and I've been told by the person on the other end, who is a lady who sounds like she's somewhere in the northeast of England,
Okay.
a Geordie lass.
Did you invite her to Whitley Bay?
I should have invited her to Whitley Bay, shouldn't I, the show? She sounded just like Vera.
Right.
And she said, look, I need a list of details of...
They usually ask you what your last purchase was, right?
Yeah, that's right, last purchase. Well, now I'm going to
Which is always difficult because you can't always remember.
I can't always remember. And also, she wanted to know about direct debits on this card. Well, I don't know. I never deal with the account. That's dealt with literally by my accountant.
Right.
So I've got to ring them back at a sort of, when I get home and give her details of 6 direct debits. And
so you must have been
last
able to find a
payment
bank statement or something like that.
well, I can get hold of one. Yeah, it's fine. I'll find one somewhere.
Yeah.
And sort it out.
They're very good, actually. I mean, one of the
Very
things that
good.
we all moan and
Yes.
groan about banks because they can be very, very frustrating and annoying.
That's right.
But when something like that does happen, they are very quick on it and they're very good.
But it comes as a shock to know that as we are working in this studio in London, at this time, 2:54 a.m., that the Porky fortune is being plundered on the other side of the Atlantic.
Well, so far only to the tune of about 200 quid.
I know, they're not
I
very
don't think you should
ambitious,
worry
are they?
too much.
I know.
But I mean, they
who
do
knows?
say. I mean, they do
Yeah.
say that's why you shouldn't really leave large amounts of money in a bank account.
Yeah,
because
sure.
they can take it all out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
if you're not careful,
Yeah. Well, funny enough, without giving too much away, this account that they've tried to plunder never has more than an available £1,000 in it,
doesn't it?
Because it's drip fed from another account. You see what I mean?
Right.
And
Is this the one you used to take your sort of £500 walking around money every week?
No, I take that from elsewhere.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
It's very complicated, your financial
well,
structure,
it is, but it was set up, actually, funny enough, when it was all set up like years ago.
I mean, most people have got one current account, maybe a savings account,
Well, I've
and a credit card, that's it.
I've
How
got
many accounts have you got?
about 8.
8 accounts?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, some of them are feeder accounts.
Well, you must pay loads of fees then, don't you?
I don't know, because I don't know anything to do with it. Well,
I bet you do.
No, some of them are feeder accounts, so that you see this one that's being like milked.
Yeah.
Sorry,
There's a vision of this guy in New York City just going, right, put it on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Go up the old Freedom Tower, a few cocktails.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, he's not very adventurous, is he?
No.
And
well, it's like the old joke, isn't it, about the guy whose wife's credit cards get stolen, and he says, "Well, don't worry, he couldn't possibly spend more than she does."
Jesus, that's right. Yeah, and this has got a ceiling on it of £1,000.
Right.
So I mean, that's good.
Yes.
Nobody can say more. Now, what happens is, whenever it gets like towards getting empty, then it automatically.
It always scoops some money from another account.
It does, and puts it in. It does, and all that kind of stuff, and that happens on a number of accounts, and then so it's a safety factor. So look, all in all, bit of a shock to be told that somebody's trying to spend all your money on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yes,
but having said
I mean,
that,
that'll be something that a lot of people will know has happened to them as well.
Well, it's a very efficient. It's happened very efficiently, and they said to me immediately, it was great actually. I got a text note saying somebody's trying to spend this money. Immediately respond with an N or a Y, i.e. And
I wouldn't give too much away on the radio.
No, but I mean, I'm not giving any numbers or anything. And it's a no, and why it's a yes, it's no.
Well, funny enough, I had one of those some years ago when I was actually genuinely trying to spend money in America on a card, but I was on the phone to these people and the card wouldn't go through. Yeah. And I kept getting this, and then eventually they blocked the card because they weren't putting it through properly.
Sure.
And I got one of those same messages. As soon as I said yes, it was something I was trying to do, then it went through.
I've often had it in America when I've tried to use... I had 2 American Express cards, one for America and one for England.
Right.
And whenever I tried to spend the American one after not using it for 3 months, because I'm in away, you always got a phone call saying, has somebody stolen your card, or it's been reactivated, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So they're quite efficient in doing it.
They are. Well, I'm glad you're not too bothered by it, and I'm glad that nobody's managed to escape with all your wealth.
Exactly.
That wouldn't be good at all.
Exactly.
We are the 2 mics. This is talkSPORT. This is talkSPORT. We are the 2 mics. There will be a podcast coming out. The Porky Quiz, of course, tomorrow is on the Clintons, which is pretty timely, given that Hillary Clinton returns to the campaign trail a little bit later on today in the US of A. While you were out, by the way, sorting out your problem, there was a tweet from someone saying, have you ever talked to Porky about the allegory of the cave presented by Plato in his work, The Republic? You say that you've studied ancient Greek philosophy, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, do you know about the allegory of the cave?
Yes.
It's about these guys who are in a cave.
That's right.
And the people who are in the cave look at shadows on the wall, which are basically projected as if they've come from there's a fire
That's
in the
right.
cave and there's a projection on
That's
the cave.
right.
But what they work out is that the people who've seen the shadows think that that's their reality,
Yes.
and thinks there's real people,
Right.
when in fact there aren't really.
No.
And it's all about what the mind can think and what the
yeah.
mind can play tricks on.
Well, have you
as
ever
far as
walked?
you're
Have you
concerned.
ever walked through a wood at night?
Yes.
And you think there are shadowy people behind every tree and all that kind of stuff,
Well, I'll tell you worse than that. Was
Yeah.
when I used to work, when I first moved down to England from Scotland,
Yes.
and I was doing the overnight show here at the weekends, and I
Yes.
used to drive backwards and forwards to Sussex.
Yes.
And I'd get so tired, I used to hallucinate.
Yeah.
And I eventually actually stopped doing it on the basis that that was when I didn't drive up and down, because
Yes.
I thought I've got to get a place in London.
Yeah.
Because once I was driving down the A21, and there's a particularly woody part of the road
Right.
as you get near Hastings.
Yes.
And I was convinced there was a tree in the middle of the road.
Well, I've
Convinced.
I've convinced
So much so that I
myself
went round
driving
it.
at night that I've seen people stepping onto the motorway.
Yeah.
I sometimes drive from here down to the coast, right? Go down the A3 and the
Yeah.
A3M, and there's part of it. There's no lights on the central reservation
Yeah.
or at the edge of the road.
And when you're in a place where there's lots of trees,
Absolutely. I think
the
I've
light
seen
can play
people
tricks on
stepping
you.
onto the road.
Yeah.
And I've swerved the car. I've literally swerved the car.
Well, I did that to avoid this tree.
Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, it was quite a sort of one of those shocking events. So I kind of
Exactly.
came to a stop and
Yeah.
looked back, and there was no tree.
No, exactly.
But I'd seen it as if it was there.
I totally agree. Now, Mark here says, nice to know that if I steal old Porky's card, I've only got to wait for the auto top-up once I've spent up to his limit.
Yeah, that's not bad,
yeah.
actually. Very
Yeah,
good. Well, do you remember I told you the story of a guy that got a credit card of mine but actually got it posted to my address and then stole it? He'd actually gone, because I've got where I live.
So, is this a flatmate or something?
No. This was somebody from outside the building.
Right.
Because where I live, there's the front door locks to the, and
Yes, I
people
see.
get buzzed in. So
Yeah.
generally, if you're a ne'er-do-well, you can probably work
Yeah.
out how to get
Yeah,
in that
I see,
door.
I see.
And then the mailboxes are there.
Right, I see,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
I
sort of
understand.
mailbox scenario. What this guy had done was he had applied, somehow he'd got into my mailbox
Right.
and started going through my post.
Yes.
And he applied for a credit card with my bank
Right.
in my name.
Yes.
Which they then sent out to my address, which he then nicked.
And he got into your mailbox again?
Yeah. Well, he obviously had done it for
Yeah.
several sort of
Yeah.
weeks on end, and so. But what he was able to do was, when I rang my bank up eventually, because they rang me and said, we've
Yes.
got fraud on your card, a bit like yours.
Yes.
But it turned out that he hadn't cloned the card; he'd actually got it from the bank.
Yes.
And I said, well, hang on, if I rang you up and said I want a new credit card, you would presumably have asked me all sorts of questions and
Yeah.
asked me why, have you lost the other one?
Exactly.
I said, I don't know what this guy did. And they
Yeah.
said, well, we're not sure either.
Yeah.
But
No,
he actually physically had a card, but as luck would have it,
Yeah.
he went to Majestic Wine with it.
Right.
And tried to spend about 120 quid.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to do it.
Do they know? Was it the branch where you've used
No,
it?
I don't go there.
No, I see,
But I
okay.
still get mail from them.
No, I see,
Because
yeah.
they think I went there and actually spent 120 quid.
Oh, I see. Right, okay, yeah.
But he got away with a case of wine before they worked
before
out that
they-
it was a dodgy card.
But you don't pay for that wine. That's
No.
that's paid for by the bank
No,
as a fraud.
I mean there is a difference, I think, in whether I think a bank account like a current account is less well covered than a credit card.
yes, that's right.
Like if somebody spends loads of money on a credit card,
Yeah.
they always knock
Exactly,
it off. Whereas
exactly.
in a bank situation, I think it's slightly different.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Now this has raised a lot of interest, and William has sent me a note here, and it's very helpful. I know what he's saying. He says, Porky, don't phone that number that's popped up on your mobile phone.
Well, you've already done that, though.
Exactly. It could be a scam. Go into your own bank first. They will check for you. Well, look, William, I really appreciate you. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
What's going on?
I don't know. I had something in my mouth.
Oh,
I don't
dear.
know what it was. Yeah. Sorry. Now, William, I really appreciate it, and you're absolutely right. But can I just tell you this? A, I couldn't go into my own bank because I haven't been into my bank for about 20 years.
Well, it might not even be there anymore.
Well, it might not even be there, I know. Exactly. And secondly, when I did ring the number, the first thing the lady said was, I had to give her details of payments on this account, like direct debits and all that.
Yeah.
I couldn't because I don't have them in front of me. She said, in that case, we can't help you, sir. Will you please ring me back in a few hours' time when you have access to...
But what they can do is stop the card, right?
Yeah, they've stopped the card. The card's been stopped, but she wanted some evidence from me that I was actually Mike Parry.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So when William is saying...
Surely there
"Be careful,
must be
it's
an
a
easy
scam,"
way of figuring that out. just asking for your theories on evolution or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd
know.
have thought so. I mean, is she not a talkSPORT listener or something? This
Well,
woman
exactly, yeah.
in Newcastle.
Right.
But no, the point of the story is because I couldn't specify 3 direct debits off this account because I didn't have the information in front of me. She said, in that case, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So you've got to ring back when you've got access to that. Now I know that somewhere there are paper copies of
there will be
of a monthly.
But again, it'll just be a bit of a pain in the neck, won't it? Because you have to go through all that in the morning.
No, not at all. I will find it easy because I keep. Well, I don't, but funny enough, my housekeeper keeps files of all
Does
this
she?
stuff. Yeah,
Maybe she's passed the numbers on to somebody.
No.
You sure?
That's ridiculous.
You sure you can trust her?
Absolutely.
Maybe she's got fed up after years and years of drudgery and being treated badly and not being paid enough money at Christmas bonus time.
No.
Maybe she's finally turned on you.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Anyway, enough of that. So let's get back to what we were talking about before. For instance, Scott says of our... What was the name of our expert on the paranormal called? Rob.
It was Rob, yeah.
Rob, yeah. OK, so Scott says quite rightly... Porky, absolutely spot on, mate, in your reaction to that bloke. He was a clown.
He was not a clown.
See?
He was not saying one way or the other whether he believed in it. He just said that it's very unusual that so many people are currently talking about it.
Yeah, but
particularly at Wall Street companies are now starting to suggest that it might be the case.
He makes a living by floating the idea that it might be a paranormal, it might not be. You know, I find that a bit ingenuine, to be honest. Yeah,
ingenuine.
Yeah, and Scott goes on to with another one, says, "Yeah, go on, keep giving it to him, Porky. Speak up for the normal people." So I'm regarded as a normal person, man of the people. You see?
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
How about this one from Woodenhead? Hasn't Parry got an account with thousands of pounds in it? You lost all the details to remember him talking about it. I remember him talking about it. That's the 12 grand, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
It was in Halifax or something, wasn't it? Have you ever found that?
Well, I think it's been traced. No, seriously, because it became another building society, which I wasn't aware of. But I think it has been traced. Yeah.
Patrick says this: only 200 quid. Porky would need about 10,000 people to make a real dent in his financial empire.
Well, I'm telling you, it's very frightening to think somebody's got access to your account. I'm sure they could milk it pretty quickly if they did it properly.
Well, I think there are. Yes. I mean, I think this is a huge business. I mean, there are people doing this all the time.
Yes.
And the fact that it's only happened to you now for the first time is probably quite surprising.
Yes. No, I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I think you're quite lucky. I've read newspaper reports of people. They're obviously professional journalists who said, you know, they went to their hole in the wall to get some money because they were going out for lunch or something like that. It refused. Yeah. They ring up the bank. They say, you took all your money out yesterday, and they just find out that's the only way they found out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got done not far away from here, just around the corner. There's a hole in the wall machine on Blackfriars Road.
Yes.
Which they put a false front on. And I discovered this when I
can't believe it.
I got home, and it looks exactly the same. And it was actually my credit card I put in to take some money out for whatever reason. Yeah. And it ate the card and didn't give me the money.
No, it's amazing.
And literally, I jumped on the tube. I think I got home half an hour later. The phone went, and it was the credit card company saying, "We believe that you've been scammed."
Yes.
Because what these people have been doing is putting false fronts on the ATM.
Yeah.
But they're then sort of watching you from across the street.
Sure.
And they managed to actually somehow preserve your PIN card number.
Sure.
And then they put it in and then take a load of money out, which is what they've done.
Do you know what worries me? Those messages came in at about 1:30, OK? Now, supposing we worked regulation 9 to 5 daytime, I was asleep.
Yeah.
I couldn't then respond immediately to the Y or N.
No.
They want a Y, yes, it is you spending the money, or an N, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And if they get an N, no, it's not, they freeze the card immediately.
But I suppose what they would have done if they hadn't heard anything, they would have also frozen the card.
Well, I suppose so, yeah. But, I mean, they must know that it's the middle of the night here in England and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they must.
But anyway, that's by the by.
Do you switch your phone off at night when you're sleeping?
No, never.
So you probably would have woken up anyway?
Yeah, I probably would have woken up. Yeah, I probably heard the
I got
ping.
woken up earlier on today by a random wrong number.
Oh, yeah?
Which is never good.
That's very annoying, isn't it?
It is really annoying,
if you're trying to sleep. I didn't sleep much today, actually.
I didn't sleep much today either.
I had a lot yesterday, I should say, because I had a lot to do.
Yeah. I'm not going to sleep much tomorrow or today, I should say, because now I've got to get my tyre fixed. I'm going for a haircut, believe it or not.
You're going for a haircut?
At 3 o'clock.
About time, yeah.
And I've got to meet my daughter. So I can't see myself getting
Are you having lunch with your daughter?
No, she's working. So when she finishes work, I'll see her for a couple of hours.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, you'll have a couple of drinks with your daughter.
I would think.
That's nice. That's
because I haven't seen her this week.
Well, there you go.
Now, I've got a story for you about
about
driverless cars I want to tell you about, but I haven't got time to do it now. But hold on to your hat, because in Pittsburgh, apparently, yesterday morning, for the first time, they had an Uber driving around the streets that drove itself.
Oh, really?
So the time is coming nearer.
So not only driving itself, but picking people up and driving itself.
Yes.
You'd be a very brave pedestrian to get into that car.
They did have somebody sitting in the driver's seat, because that's the first phase of it. But the person sitting in the driver's seat was not driving it, if you know what I mean. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And the Porky Vision section is coming up very shortly as well. This is
Certainly
Talk
is.
Sport.
Yep.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
Play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a pistol on your little finger.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We got lots more coming up between now and 4 o'clock, of course. Yeah, so this story about Uber, right?
Yeah.
Apparently their self-driving pilot program was launched
Why are we
yesterday.
playing that record, by the way? It's a great
it's
record.
money for nothing.
Money for nothing.
That's what somebody's getting from
Oh,
you in New York.
well, yeah, thank you very much indeed. That's
Quite clever, isn't it?
That's a very clever one. Money for nothing and
Yeah.
your chicks for free.
And your chicks
Where's
for
the
free.
chicks?
Well, you may get those later. Up at Whitley Bay when you're advancing with your
absolutely.
business associate. Funnily enough, you remember Mickey Brennan's wife, who was from Costa Rica.
Yes, lovely
Used
girl.
to, whenever that song came on, she used to think that the words were money for nothing and your chickens for free.
Only chickens for free,
She
yeah,
used to
because
sing that.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so apparently this Uber scenario in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
right? They've decided they've set it up, and people have been getting into cars and being driven, and so one guy who was with Reuters decided
Yes.
to test it out.
Yes.
And he saw that the car could quite happily on its own stop at red lights, accelerate at green lights, travel over a bridge, move around a small mail truck, and slow down for a driver empty a car on a busy street.
But just
all
to-
without anybody touching the controls.
Exactly, but what Uber did is just to solve the concerns of the passengers. They had a guy sitting in the driving seat, although he wasn't accessing any of the controls of the car.
No, and the guy who test drove it with him, who sat in the back, said on occasion he would do something with the controls just to make sure that it was all running smoothly.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
But yeah, because they can't. I think there might be an issue with actually having nobody sitting in the driving seat.
Well, do you know what? In the future, why don't they put a dummy in the driving seat?
It'll be like that Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Well, I haven't seen
Johnny,
that.
the Johnny Cab.
But what about...
the one about when he goes up to Mars?
No, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't seen that, no. I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
Schwarzenegger.
Because
Total Recall. They remade it, actually, a few years ago.
Yeah, but he can't speak properly, and that's why I can't listen to him in a film.
What do you mean he can't speak properly? He speaks with an accent.
No, he talks like the very famous Secretary of State for America,
Henry
Dr.
Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger,
Yeah.
who I could never understand.
Yeah, but you could understand him. You just had to listen and concentrate.
In my view,
He spoke very quiet. That's quite good, actually, of Kissinger. I think I spoke to him once.
The Vietnam War should come to an end, but how we stop the Vietnam War is a matter for the President of the United States of America.
Yeah, he sounded just like that.
Yeah, and
I think I got him on the phone once.
Really?
He used to have an office downtown Manhattan. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. But I mean, Schwarzenegger to me. Do you know what the best thing?
I'll be back.
No, the best thing Schwarzenegger's ever done is an advert with two meerkats, right? Because
that's not the best thing.
No,
he's
it
ever
is
done.
honestly because
Terminator's the best thing.
No, these meerkats jump in his car.
They're not real though. The meerkats,
no, I know they're not real, but it's a great little advert because he's this huge, great guy, isn't he? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Miss Universe at one time and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And what was it, Conan the Barbarian?
Conan
and
the
all
Barbarian,
that?
yeah. Then the Terminator.
And then the Terminator. And these two little meerkats jump in the car, and it's a great sketch because he then goes all frightened and says, "Take my wallet, fellas. Take
But
my
it's
car,
not really
take
that
everything."
funny, though, is it?
No, I think it's very funny.
You think it's great?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Yeah.
Well, that's the sort of thing to appeal to you.
It is.
Does it mean that you're going to buy insurance from these people?
I'm not even going to name the company because I can't remember who they are.
That's not like you.
No. Now
That's the sign of a bad advert, isn't it? 'Cause the whole point of a good advert is if you can actually remember the name of the company
Well, I can.
ahead of the advert.
I can.
Well, no, but some ads, they're brilliant ads.
Yes, I agree.
You don't remember what the brand was.
But the reason I can remember the brand is because being a Coronation Street fanatic, right?
Yeah.
They sponsor Coronation Street. So
do
I'm
they?
bound to. Yeah.
Well, you say you're a Coronation Street fanatic.
Yes.
Whenever you mention a Coronation
Yes.
Street plot on Porky Vision,
Yeah.
it's inevitably 3 or 4 months out of date.
Well, no, it's a couple of weeks behind. There is a bit of catch-up going on, I have to agree. Listen, I've just been availed of some amazing news.
Have you?
Yeah.
What else is going on in your world?
Well, Rick Parfitt,
Yes.
who's one half of what's left of status
quo, yes.
and one half of what started as status quo, sort of 50 years ago,
Right.
has been told he's had it and he can't go anywhere near a guitar or a stage again.
Really?
He suffered a near-fatal heart attack.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
What, recently?
Yeah, recently, yeah, apparently, yeah. He's going to be telling people, this is just sort of leaked out, that doctors prescribed him as dead for 3.5 minutes.
Oh, God.
His heart stopped in a cardiac arrest recently. Whilst
they've been doing a tour, haven't they?
Well, Turkey. It happened in Turkey while he was on tour. My goodness gracious me.
Well, it's not surprising, is it, given... I mean, we've spoken about Rick Parfitt and Francis Rossi in the past.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Where they did so much cocaine and they couldn't feel anything.
I think I've interviewed them in this very studio.
I think we have, actually.
I think we have, yeah.
I think he was then when he told us the story, they used to hurl each other down the stairs.
That's right.
To see whether they could feel anything.
That's right,
and occasionally run headlong into a wall with their heads.
That was the one I noted, because one of them lived round the corner in Purley from where my sister used to live. Yeah. And I know exactly the estate he lives on. It's a gated, sort of estate. And he said that we used to take cocaine in, sort of prodigious sort of quantities. Yeah. And we knew we'd taken enough when we would put our heads down and run at the brick wall which surrounds the house. And if we couldn't feel anything, we knew we'd taken enough.
Yes.
I mean, that's a brilliant way of doing it, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't sound terribly sensible, does it?
No, it doesn't. No.
It really doesn't.
No.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. So presumably Status Quo are now no longer going to be playing anywhere then?
Well, I doubt it. I mean, if he said that he's been banned now from ever working again... and his bandmate Francis Rossi, 67. They've just fallen short of making the 50th anniversary of the first hit.
Wow! Have you got any Status Quo albums?
No, I haven't got any albums, but I've got some of their records.
Greatest hits?
No, I bought as a kid. I bought some of their records. Down the Dustpipe. Remember that?
Down the Dustpipe.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's Down the Dustpipe?
Yeah. Heading down the dust pipe, got to
I remember Down,
my jeans.
Down, Deeper and Down.
No, this is Down the...
That's really early stuff, that. I actually saw them live once.
They're very boring live, I'm told.
No, they were great.
Because
they were fantastic.
Yeah, but because they take the mickey out of themselves by saying we only know 3 chords, and apparently all their live records all sound the same.
No,
it sounds
don't.
like one long record.
No, they don't. They're terrific live.
Whatever you want, whatever you do.
Well, that's a great song.
Whatever you want,
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
No, that's okay. Right. I tell you the one I liked, which they did about, was it 20 years ago? Was a really weird record, which sounded like a proper record, not like Status Quo, and it's called You're in the Army Now.
You're in the Army Now?
Yeah.
I think I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, You're in the Army.
Was that for a film or something?
I don't know, yeah, could have been. Yeah, sounded something like that.
Now, I've got something that's going to scare the pants off you. Talking about New York and stuff. Remember Inside Edition, which was a TV show that used to be run by a guy called Bob Young that you and I knew.
I do.
I don't know whether it still is run by them, but it was a sort of tabloid TV show.
Bob used to be the picture editor on the
New York Post.
New York Post.
He was the guy that rang Brennan the day that Big Paul Castellano was shot. And we had to go around and witness the the rub out.
Oh, really?
Because they couldn't get from the post up to Midtown quickly enough. So he rang Costello's.
Yes.
And myself and Brennan happened to be there, so we went round the corner where the where the steakhouse was, Sparks, and got the picture.
That's right, yeah.
But no, they've done an inside sort of investigation into hotels in Manhattan, right? And they've discovered that the 3 hotels that they checked did not actually change the bed sheets for new customers.
I can't believe that.
Can you imagine that?
Which hotels were they?
Well, I can tell you the names.
Go on.
It's the Marriott Residence Inn, which is in Times Square.
Well,
the La Quinta Inn and Suites near Central Park, and the Candlewood Inn and Suites, owned by the Intercontinental Hotel Group.
Well, the first 2 are very much tourist hotels, okay?
Well, so's the Marriott Residence. I mean, they're all kind of tourist hotels,
the first 2.
really.
The third one, I don't think is it?
Well, the Marriott Residence in Times Square is a very big, well-known hotel.
That's what I said.
But it's full of tourists.
And it's very tourist, that's what I mean, yeah.
But, I mean, the other ones will tend to be more to do with people that may be staying for slightly longer.
Yeah.
But the reason that they can prove it is that they actually wrote on the sheets...
Oh, I see.
I slept here, right? And then they checked out of the room and checked back into the room as somebody else, and discovered that the writing on the sheets had still not been removed.
Yeah, well, I see. That's really weird. First of all, you're vandalising the sheets by writing on them, okay?
Well, hang on. They're doing an investigation.
Yeah, okay. And then secondly, it's very weird to book into a hotel and say, I want room 612, please.
Well, it happens in movies all the time, doesn't it?
Does it? Why?
Have you not seen the Bourne films where he wants to check into the same room where he did the killing in Berlin because he can't remember why he was there? And then they say,
he's got a reason. He wants to try and jolt his memory.
Well, yeah, but some people go and stay in a hotel and they like a particular room because they like the view that it had.
Yeah.
And you can say, I really like that room. That's the one I want.
Yeah,
it's available.
I suppose you could.
Yeah. Well, according to Inside Edition, the Marriott Corporation apologised, and all of the hotels told us they take great pride in high standards of cleanliness throughout their hotels, and they take this issue very seriously and have taken immediate action to ensure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit late now, isn't it?
Because it is.
Supposing that happens in all the hotels around the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd have to wonder about it, wouldn't you?
Of
It's
course
a
you
massive, massive operation.
Yeah, of course you would.
Where you have to clean out every single room.
Every day.
Because you know how you now have this choice now. If you're staying for more than one night,
yes,
you can offer to not bother having them wash everything every single day.
Well, I always, fill in that form or whatever it is about the towels.
Yeah.
I don't need a clean set of towels every day if
Well,
I'm
it
staying in
depends
the
if you
hotel
use
for
them.
3 days. It doesn't really. If you have a shower each morning and you've got 6 towels, which you normally have got, all folded up and all that, I will leave the towel on the floor of the one I've used, to rub down after the shower.
Well, that's too much information.
Well, okay, fair
I don't
enough.
know about you rubbing down after the shower.
I don't want all the towels changed every day. It's a waste of time.
Well, surely that's the point of staying in a hotel.
No, not for me. I find it a waste, and I have got a social conscience about.
You have not got a social conscience
about wasting the world's resources.
If you had a social conscience, you wouldn't park in parent and child spaces.
Well, they're not being used by anybody else, so I can't see how that is an infringement.
That's rubbish. That's like saying the disabled space is not being used. There's nobody in it. Somebody might come along right after you've parked in it and want to park there.
But they don't. I'm an observer
how do you know
of these
that?
things. They just don't, honestly. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it.
Nick says this: my great fear is that we're all a figment of Mike Parry's drink-sodden imagination and only exists inside his ginger head.
What? That is a terrible thing to say.
And Lee says, MG, I can't believe Porky has not seen Total Recall. You would think he's been there and had the mad stories he's told.
No, not at all. Listen, I came across a letter in a newspaper, which I want to share with you because...
Well, we haven't got a lot of time now.
Well, I'll have to
hold on to it in a minute.
I'll have to do it in a minute because it's a really disturbing letter. You know what a big...
Disturbing?
Yeah, you know what a big fan I am of the Royal Navy. My father was a Royal Naval hero during the Second World War, and of course I mixed with naval people down in Portsmouth. I've got a shocking letter to read out here, which has disturbed me.
Oh, really?
But I'll wait until we've got a bit of space.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, how about this then, from Cop Queen? She said, Porky sounding more like a Mysteron off Captain Scarlet than Arnie or Henry Kissinger.
No, I think you're right, Captain Scarlet and the Maestrons.
Mysterons?
Yeah, Mysterons.
Not the Maestrons.
No, it was pronounced Maestrons, I think,
it wasn't.
The TV
show. It was
show.
not. It was Mysterons.
Captain Scarlet.
It was not pronounced Maestrons.
He was the captain of Stingray, wasn't he? Captain Scarlet.
No.
He was.
Stingray was a different show.
No, it wasn't. Captain Scarlet was the driver of Stingray.
No, incorrect.
I'm telling you he was. And then the spin-off series was Captain Scarlet. It was.
Well, Troy Tempest was not in Captain Scarlet.
Well, what was Captain Scarlet's vehicle called then?
What was it called?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But it was not. I mean, Stingray was under the sea. Captain Scarlet was up in the air.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
God.
To be honest.
Really? What about Thunderbirds?
Yeah, well, I know about Thunderbirds. Everybody does, don't they? The most famous vehicles in the world.
I took the kids to a West End show of Thunderbirds once and thought it was going to be really great.
Yeah.
Thought it would be really sort of spectacular.
Was it the human one where they have them on their head?
It was two guys with the things on their heads.
Yeah, I've seen that. You see that late at
rubbish.
night. No, I saw it late at night, very, very intoxicated.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, I couldn't believe it.
Really?
But I didn't think it was a children's thing.
No, well, I don't know whether... I didn't think it was very funny. Anyway, what is funny is that Porky Vision is coming up next. Are you ready for that?
Defo.
Excellent.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
That is the music that signals the return of Porky Vision. We haven't had it for a week, so what have you got for us this week, Mr. Parry?
Well, listen, let's get straight to it. One of us is one of the most brilliant dramas I've seen on the BBC for decades. Literally, not just years, decades. It was incredible. I told our listeners about it last week, how the plot developed. A young couple in Edinburgh just got married. Suddenly somebody breaks into the house and murders them both.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
The murderer then turns up at the parents' homes, because the parents live just a mile apart in a remote part of Scotland, 3 hours' drive from Edinburgh, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And he turns up there and crashes his car through the fence, and then he's sort of half dead, but then he ends up dead after being incarcerated in the barn
You're
of
not
one of the
going to give
parents.
the end of it away, are you?
I am, yeah.
Are you?
I am, yeah.
Are you?
You have to.
Because I haven't seen it, because I watched the first two.
No, it's so dramatic.
And I actually thought it was a bit boring.
No, it's so dramatic. I thought it was brilliantly gripping from the start, okay? But anyway, what's happened is, as it all unfolds, the questions have to be answered. What was the murderer doing going up to the parents' home?
Yes.
Why did the parents then decide to kill the boy who murdered...
Or whoever did kill him.
Whoever did kill him, somebody killed him. Why then did they decide to bury him, get rid of his body and tell the police he's not there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And the dark secrets then come out. And what it's all down to, at the end of the day, is this. It's far too complicated to go through all the twists and turns.
We need to give away the siren at this point.
No.
Just in case.
Well, you can if you want. But I mean, basically what happened was... There we go.
There's the siren. For those who don't want to know...
That's right.
Look away now.
That's right. Right, so the two families live just a mile or two apart in the Scottish Highlands Islands, OK? So they're very close. But it turns out that the wife of one of the couples is a serial philanderer.
Yes.
Not only did I tell you last week that she was having an affair...
She's a dark-haired woman, right?
She's a dark-haired woman, very attractive. Not only was she having an affair with the head of the farm labourers, right, who worked on the farm, so, who worked for her husband.
Well, he was no oil painting, was he?
He was no oil painting at all. He had a...
He's quite a craggy fellow.
He had a sprout-like face, you know what I mean?
Sprout-like?
Yeah, that's right, he wasn't right. But he was Rogerising this lady.
Yeah.
But it turns out, if you go back over the last 20 years, she's been getting regularly Rogerised by quite a lot of people.
Oh, is that right?
And included...
What about the husband?
Hey?
What about the husband?
Church-going fanatic.
All right.
Right? But
is he the guy with the beard?
Yeah, he's the guy with the beard, thick beard.
Right.
She's been getting Rogerised by quite a number of people.
Yeah.
And then go back 25 years, she was getting Rogerised by the other neighbour.
The other neighbour?
Yes.
What, you mean the father of the other kid?
Yes.
Oh, God.
The two families live a mile and a half apart, so it's a very small community.
Yeah.
And she's been taking suffer and comfort from the husband of the other couple.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Yes.
What happens then is...
So does that mean does that lead to the connection with the killer then?
It's amazing. I mean, if you look back now, it's rather predictable. But when you saw it unfolding, you couldn't put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Right.
Because she was getting Rogerised by the husband of the other couple, she became pregnant, and the child was from the other man.
I thought something like that might be the case. Right.
So what it meant was, when her daughter and his son got married, sister was marrying brother.
Ah, right.
That was the massive dark secret twist. You see what I mean?
I see.
So
the guy that killed them, how did he know that, and what was his role in all that?
Well, this is the amazing twist in the whole plot.
Yeah.
The church fanatic father found out that their child was not his,
right,
because he suddenly developed Parkinson's disease, and so he went to the doctor and they said, I'm sorry, you have got Parkinson's disease, you'll live about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
He then demanded to have his children tested to see if they'd inherited from him,
right,
and when the tests were taken, it was revealed...
That one didn't have it.
The child wasn't even his.
Right.
So then...
Oh, so he knew that?
He found out. He found out.
Right.
So he alone knew that their children who had married were brother and sister from the two families.
Okay.
So
his wife didn't even know?
No, she didn't know. Nobody knew except him, because he'd done these tests for Parkinson's.
So when she had the kid, though, surely she must have thought it might not be his.
Well, I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
I'm sure she did. But whatever, she kept her mouth shut all these years.
Okay.
And they clearly just turned away from this dark secret and didn't want anybody to know. However, the young couple then decide to start a family.
Yeah.
So the daughter becomes pregnant.
Yeah, because she was pregnant, wasn't she?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Christian father, the church crazy father, decides it's a sin against God and can't happen.
It's an abomination.
Goes to Edinburgh and hires a killer to kill both of the youngsters, both his son. Both his daughter
Goodness me.
and the son from the other family, knowing that they have both been fathered by the same man who was played by Aid Edmondson, who wiped himself out early on in the programme.
Oh, so he was the father?
He was the father, and he stood in front of a lorry, which wiped him out.
Oh, I missed that. I haven't seen that one.
When he found out what had happened.
See, I only watched the first two.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't watch the rest of it now, because you've told me the whole story.
No, well, I mean, this is it.
And so the junkie that was hired to do the killing was just a random guy.
The junkie who was hired to do the killing, another great twist in the plot.
Yeah.
The reason that the church-crazed father found the junkie was that he was in Edinburgh trying to sort out what he was going to do, got completely bladderated in an Edinburgh pub on whiskey, and as staggering away, Junkie sees staggering man, thinks he'll be a good mugging victim, tries to mug him, but the father is a big burly farmer, and even in drink managed to smash the kid to the ground, grabbed his knife and all that, and then said, instead of turning you into the police, this is what you're going to do. Offers him £5,000 to murder his own children.
So why was he then on his way back up to the farm up north?
To collect the balance of the money, because he gave him £2,500 there and then. Said, you know, you're going to hit them.
Well,
for
why didn't he
5,000.
tell him where he lived? That was a bit stupid, wasn't it?
Well, no. What happened was this: the junkie who murdered them, after he'd murdered them, went through all their belongings in the flat looking for more money and all that, and found the parents' address, and decided he could now blackmail this guy for the rest of his life. You see what I mean? Right. So that's why he was on his way up there.
So does it then also tell you who killed him? The junkie.
Who killed the junkie?
Which one of the people in the you know, the country farm scenario?
Oh, it's clearly the church crazed father. Right. Clearly, because he
church crazed father.
Well, it is because he knew that you know, if he was there and he woke up, he was going to reveal everything. You know, so he killed him without a shadow of a doubt.
So how does it all end then?
Well, it's a fascinating ending. The police arrive at the house, having worked out exactly what's gone on. Right. From the fact that the younger son, the brother of the woman who died...
Yeah. And isn't there a connection between Aid Edmondson and one of the police officers as well?
Not really, I don't think. I don't think it is.
I thought there was at the beginning.
Aid Edmondson had nothing to do with his children for 20 years, you see. He'd walked out on the marriage, you see what I mean?
I'm talking about there was a young female detective, wasn't there? Didn't she have some...
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I wasn't aware of that. But anyway, the point of the story is the church-crazed father is in the house when the local cops arrive, and they all know each other. It's such a small community, and say, you know, Donald, we have to... I don't think his name was Donald, actually.
Whatever.
Duncan, you know, we have to ask you to come with us. Yeah. Of course, he disappears upstairs, gets the rifle out of his wardrobe, goes back down into the courtyard, but then loses the bottle to blow his own head off. Right. So he gets just taken away, and you assume he will be locked up for the rest of his life or something like that. Yeah, but the other twist is that the young police officer...
So does the secret stay hidden then, or does everybody know the secret?
No, everybody knows. Everybody knows. You know, everybody's crying and wailing and gnashing their teeth and all this kind of stuff. And then the police officer you're talking about, who investigated the whole thing, has been stealing drugs from the police, which I told you about. Yeah. She's been flogging them to make money to take her daughter abroad. She decides to do a runner because the guy who supplied the drugs is going to shop her to the police, except she's very, very clever. She says, well, I tell you what, look, I used to work on the porn squad. She said, and I've got so much stuff of child pornography that, you know, we confiscated your laptop when we arrested you for dealing drugs. He said, he said, I'm going to put all that child pornography into your computer. Yeah. And he said, you wouldn't do that? She said, yes, I would. And she said, and then you'll be labelled a paedophile as well as a drug dealer. Right. And how will that feel amongst all your big mates and all this kind of stuff? They'll kill you in jail, you know. So she gets away with it. It's amazing. Right. Yeah, it's a terrific programme. Very dark indeed. Now, the other one I saw...
Quite short, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't that many episodes.
4 episodes. 4? Now, the other one I saw, this great programme on Alaska. Right. Did you know, Alaska, there is an Alaskan squirrel that hibernates for 8 months a year. Right. 8 months a year.
Well, isn't that what all squirrels do?
No.
Of course they do.
No.
Why do you think they collect the nuts?
Well, not for 8 months. It's the longest hibernation in the world.
Is it?
There are bears that hibernate up a tree for 6 months.
6 months.
And they have babies born in the trees.
Really?
It is incredible.
They must
it's
be
an incredible
evergreens,
program.
Mustn't they? Evergreens.
Yeah, it must be evergreens, yeah. And it showed you that Alaska, for 8 months a year, is just completely frozen. I'm talking about north of Alaska, inside the Arctic Circle. Yes. It's an utterly fascinating programme. Not where Sarah Palin lives. And what I thought we'd do is, I thought we'd get an expert on from Alaska. Okay. Because at this time of the year now, what they're fearing now is going back into the freeze, of course. Yes. Because the waters are only unfrozen for 4 months. And that's from about sort of April, May, June, July, August, bit of August. They'll be freezing again now. Okay. And Alaska, that part of Alaska, will just completely close down now for another 7.5, 8 months. Yeah. Fascinating programme.
And was that a BBC show?
No, it was Discovery.
Discovery Channel.
Discovery, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Alaska and all this kind of stuff. But it was utterly fascinating to see how people in Alaska survive. The temperatures get down to minus 25 for months on end.
Right.
There's no light for 3 months, you know what I mean? It's all dark.
Minus 25 centigrade.
Minus 25 centigrade.
Yeah.
And an utterly fascinating programme. I mean...
You'd love living there, wouldn't you?
Well, maybe I would, I don't know, but you couldn't put up with the privations there. And the way that the wildlife suddenly wake up and get going, and then... 4 months later, they go back into hibernation. It was an incredible programme, really incredible. And I have to say, there's another episode of that coming up, which I'm going to watch. It's absolutely fascinating.
It's not much different from the first, is it?
No, it will be, because it'll show you how, how they spend, like, the winters in hibernation, all this kind of stuff. Utterly compelling stuff. And part of it showed how whales are now so clever that instead of going and hunting for their own food, they now snatch the catches from fishermen in Alaska.
Well, that makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing programme.
Well, we were going to do that story about the dolphins that can write, they can think in sentences or talk in sentences.
Yeah, exactly.
We might do a bit of that as well.
Yeah, we need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we can get an Alaskan guest on.
Definitely.
All right. Excellent. That was Porky Vision, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies if we've given away the ending of one of us.
Yeah,
but,
sorry about that.
That's the way things go.
It is.
This is talkSPORT.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
When you go, will you send back a letter from America? Take a look up the rail track from Miami to Canada. Look up on my way.
Now, you might remember the name of this group because it came up in a Edinburgh quiz the other week, didn't it?
An Edinburgh quiz?
Yeah.
Oh, is it... it's the Proclaimers.
The Proclaimers, very good.
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah.
You got it slightly wrong. You called them the Protectors.
I did indeed, yeah.
But that's because you were under pressure on the quiz.
I certainly was, yeah.
I've seen this story about another outbreak of swearing on Radio 4, by the way.
I know, it's
How long
terrible.
they can get away with that?
Using the C word.
Yeah.
It's just shocking.
And of course,
isn't it?
coming out of the mouth of a Guardian journalist.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The two
Imagine
together.
if we did that.
It'd be terrible. Can I read you this letter, please?
Oh, yes. You said it's a letter that's upset you.
It has really upset me. I mean...
And that song was called Letter from America. So
Letter from America. That's very clever. Well done. Thank you very much indeed. This boy's right on the ball tonight.
He is, yeah.
No, what I was going to say is that I often scour the letter pages of the heavy papers like Times, Telegraph, and all that. I find them fascinating, because, old generals and colonels and people write in and make observations about life and tell you about things that have happened. But this is one I picked up, which is very upsetting.
Oh, yeah.
I won't say who the writer is, but it says this. I've just returned from a week's holiday in the most beautiful of locations, the Scilly Isles, coinciding with their festival week, to which so much hard work and support had been given by the community. However, the trip was badly marred by the actions of our once proud Royal Navy, whose personnel ruined the weekend for many and brought the good name of our once senior service into disgraceful disrepute. The islands were attended by the frigate HMS Sutherland. Now, I know Sutherland.
When they say attended, does that mean it sort of came into port there?
The Scilly Isles is so small that the naval vessels can't get into the harbour.
I was going to say.
So they lie off,
they
so
anchor,
to speak.
sort
You
of
know what I
off
mean? That's
the
right,
coast.
yeah. But I've seen Sutherland a number of times in Portsmouth Harbour, so I can picture the ship in my head.
Yeah.
The islands were, I think it's a T-42. The islands were... Sorry?
What's a T-42?
Well, the 45 are the most up-to-date ones, the ones that, daring and all that.
As in a frigate, yeah.
Well, the ones with the very sharp sides. The 42 still has a mast, so to speak. Right, the islands were attended by the frigate HMS Sutherland and her support vessel, so it was another smaller boat.
Right.
On Friday evening, about 15 of the ship's crew engaged in a large-scale brawl in a hostelry where locals have rarely witnessed any trouble over the past 2 or 3 decades.
Amongst themselves?
Yeah. This is what this says. On Friday evening, about 15 of the ship's crew engaged in a large-scale brawl. So you've got Royal Navy soldiers on this very peaceful little island punching hell out of each other in the only pub on the island.
Dear me.
Right? On Saturday, at about 8 p.m, in the one local supermarket, 2 of a group of 6 drunken sailors engaged in torrid abuse and ranting at a young lady cashier for no apparent reason, witnessed by many locals. Later, the same group were seen drunkenly brawling with one another and lying across the main street.
That's appalling, isn't it?
On Sunday evening, a grand military evening, widely publicised, was cancelled at the last minute, allegedly because of rough seas. though to anybody's intent and purpose, all was calm and flat on the bay where the naval vessels were moored. On the same evening, we saw 10 or more officers drinking in the local pub for up to 3 hours, even though the event had been cancelled. What were they doing on shore? I, like many that weekend, was disgusted and ashamed at how these sailors behaved. I just hope this motley crew are sorted out and never return to the Scilly Isles, and that we never have to rely on them in wartime again.
That's dreadful, isn't it?
It is a shocking indictment.
But what was going on with the... I mean, I know the Scilly Isles is a relatively small place,
Very
but
small.
I mean, have they got a police force that would intervene in anything like that?
I'm pretty sure I read a serialised book sometime earlier this year about the one policeman on the Scilly Isles.
Yeah.
Do you remember
I think
it?
you've mentioned that in the past.
Yeah, where he
and there's hardly ever any crime anyway.
Hardly any crime, nothing to do, all that kind of stuff, and just used to cycle around the island. There's only one road on the island.
Yeah.
I went to the Scilly Isles for a terrible story.
Yeah.
There was a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
A helicopter flew into the sea and took all 15 passengers with it because the pilot lost that dividing line between the air and the
fog
water.
and all that,
yeah, that's right. And it was a terrible story. I actually sat on a boat and watched the helicopter being winched up with the victims still sitting in their seats. You could see their faces through the window and all that. But I mean, it's the most placid place you've ever come across in your life. You know, I mean, they're literally never any recorded crime. And for this lot to get there and then suddenly turn it into, you know, a drunken, brawling, out of control, must have been a terrible shock to the locals.
Well, presumably they'll be banned from ever going back, won't they?
Well, I wonder who's going to report them. You see, apart from this letter, is there any record of that disgraceful behaviour on the Scilly Isles?
Well, you would think one of the papers would pick it up, wouldn't you?
Well, this is a letter in one of the papers. Now, I hope it is, and if not, I'm going to draw it to somebody's attention. Because, I mean, this is the sort of thing in your day and mine that somebody would have pointed out, and we'd have turned this into a page lead on page 3.
Absolutely.
You know, this drunken revelry and all this kind of, this shaming of the Royal Navy. It's the sort of thing you'd expect to see in the Daily Telegraph, for instance, you know what I mean?
Or the Mail, even.
Or even the Mail, that's right.
That is a shocking state of affairs.
I think it's absolutely... But not just that it happened on the Scilly Isles, but... For Royal Navy personnel to behave like this, don't they understand that all round the world, to this day, when people see a Royal Navy ship arriving, it generally lifts the hearts of people because we have such a reputation.
Well, also, not if they're coming to blow them out of wherever they are.
Well, I'm talking about areas of need and that kind of stuff, because a lot of the Royal Navy work now, certainly in places like the Far East and all that, is relief work.
They've been doing a lot of that in the Mediterranean.
They've done a hell of a lot of that in the Mediterranean. That's what I'm saying. We have a fantastic record around the world of being there to help and to assist and to ward off the bad guys. You know what I mean? But this is. I do hope that this has got a wider audience because.
Well, I mean, it may be not quite as told as well. I mean, you'd have to check the story out. Wouldn't you?
Of course you would, but you could easily do that. I thought about this. If I was the news editor and I'd spotted this, I'd call a couple of brothers over and say, right, you ring the supermarket, you ring the pub, and you get on your car down to Cornwall and get the first ferry over to the Scilly Isles. I want to know if this is true or not. You know, and I'd start ringing prominent people in the Scilly Isles.
Well, if you were at the Daily Express now, that would be the entire reporting staff. Well, you've just been using up to do one story.
It certainly would. Yeah. But I mean, what I worry about is that if the officers of HMS Sutherland were in the boozer having their own little party, whilst their men were running riot around the island, who's going to report who?
Yeah, right. I mean, if it was that bad, it's bound to come out, I would have thought.
You would hope so. You would hope so. Surely somebody, because the Scilly Isles presumably has got a sort of Lieutenant General or something like that, you know what I mean?
You would think so.
And presumably he will hopefully make representations to the Admiralty.
Absolutely.
To say, have you any idea of the reputation your people have got on this on these islands?
And we don't want these people back.
No, I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Shocking.
Well, on a brighter note, I've got a note here on Facebook from Debbie, who says, hello, boys. If you can you please surprise my husband, Andrew, from Aberdeen. Andrew Delgado, his name is. Massive fan of yours by wishing him a happy 51st birthday for today, the 14th of September, which is actually yesterday.
Right.
He listens to your podcast daily at some point, so we'll hear it when he does, and it would catch him off guard and make him laugh.
Okay.
So that's from Debbie Delgado. So do you want to wish Andrew a happy birthday?
Well, is it Andrew Delgado?
It is.
Andrew Delgado of Aberdeen?
Yes.
Want to wish you a very happy birthday, my boy. 51. It's young. You've got the whole of your life in front of you, and no doubt you...
Well, not the whole of it, I suppose.
Well, you've got a lot
fair
life
proportion
in front
of
you. And you and your lovely wife will be enjoying a great time in the Granite City, because we talked about the Granite City when we were up in Edinburgh.
We did. Well, a lot of people have said whether we should go up to Aberdeen and do a show.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Which would be interesting.
I tell you what, Delgado's an interesting name, because when I was the deputy sports editor of the Chester Chronicle those years ago...
I didn't know you were deputy sports editor.
Yeah, I was, yeah. I was, yeah.
Was that when you used to turn over the guy who used to go home for his lunch?
Yeah, I did.
Sandwiches with his wife?
Yeah. I've forgotten his name now. Ian Bedford. He always went home for lunch, so I would always nip in and nick the big stories while he was away, yeah.
And there must have been so many of them with the Chester Chronicle.
You've got to get up early to fool the Portmeister. That's right, yeah. But no, the captain of Chester was a guy called Bob Delgado.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that was his name.
Robert Delgado.
Isn't
that a famous name?
Well, I don't know.
Delgado?
But what I was going to say to you was...
I might have had a friend at school called that as well.
Yeah, these guys used to turn up at all the nightclubs in Chester, especially after a game on a Saturday night, because they were local footballers and all that. But they were so badly paid that, when the girls sort of copped off with them and all that kind of stuff, they expected to be taken home in like a Porsche or even a Capri or something like that.
Yeah.
And Bob, I remember, had a brown Rover, which was 11 years old, and was so knackered that the bumper had fallen off.
Oh, dear.
It was dreadful,
yeah.
I remember.
Well, those were the days when football wasn't quite as glamorous as it is now.
Well, certainly not in Chester.
No, exactly right. Well, I mean, sadly, we haven't got much more time to do anything else. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and it will be Porky quiz time. I've got quite a busy day ahead of me. What have you got going on?
Oh, yeah, I've got a very busy day. I've got work to do from 10:30 onwards. Got a series of meetings.
Well, you've got to sort out your debit card business.
I've got to sort out debit card business as well, yeah. I mean,
I've got to sort out my tyre.
Yeah,
which is
of course
very
you have.
depressing.
Yeah, that's more time consuming. I can do all my work on the phone as regards the debit card. But then I've got a series of meetings to do with, can we tell the audience that we're having a new website built?
Well, you can say that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. I don't know what the time frame is, but soon we'll have a new website, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Which will be all singing and all dancing.
That's right.
And may include a section on my recipes.
Indeed.
In fact.
No, I insist that it should.
Maybe some of yours as well.
I insist that it should.
Maybe some of yours. We can put the pear flan on there.
Well, hang on. Beans on toast isn't exactly,
No, people would like to see you making it, though.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
A couple of videos. Why not?
Yeah,
the Great British Bake Off is now no more. It looks as though Channel 4 have bought a complete dud.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk some more about that tomorrow.
Indeed.
This is talkSPORT with the two mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the two mics at the two mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Dep named the yacht the this is difficult to pronounce. The Vajolly. No, the Vajolly. Honestly, the Vajolly Roger. No, it's the Vajolly Roger.
The Vajolly Roger.
No, it's Vajolliroja. The Vajolly Roger. It's a funny name.
Oh, it certainly is.
All the people in Portsmouth were in the streets because they knew that we're at war with France and Spain, and they're all jumping down, chanting, Nelson, 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 like a football crowd.
Why?
Well, because he was the greatest British hero, and he was going off to smash the French and the Spanish.
But he was dead, wasn't he?
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the talkSPORT app. talkSPORT, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
talkSPORT.